The Fan Upstate.
Cole, you know the cartoons that you used to watch when you were a little kid, and the character was plucking, petals out of a flower. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. He loves me this. He loves me not. That feels like all of the narratives that got plucked, that got busted over the course of bowl season and the college football playoff. How much time do we have to go through all of the narratives that got busted? Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. My name is Diesel. We're back together for the first time since what?
18 days.
A long time.
18 days, man.
It feels good to be back.
Yep.
Dewey's already checked in. Shane Barrett has already checked in. Jump on the stream on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. Just search for The Fan Upstate. But Cole, how many ways?
Yeah.
How many ways could college football's postseason, to this point, it's not over yet, have gone sideways? Well, it's just about every way that it went sideways. And man, there's just so much to get to here in the first segment of the show. But how was your Christmas? How was your New Year's? I hadn't talked to you in so long.
Yeah, it's been 18 days since we were back together, man. I'll tell you this. I love the holidays, but there's a part of me that loves the holidays being over as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like the hustle and the bustle and all the other crap that comes with the holidays.
I had 10 days of in-laws in my house.
Oh, my God.
And they're fun. They're great in-laws, but eventually it's like you just want to put boot to ass and push them out the door.
Oh, I love it.
Go anywhere else but here.
I love Christmas and I love New Year's, but at the same time, like when the new year hits, I'm rejuvenated. I'm ready for spring. Spring's one of my favorite. Like, I love spring. Leads into summer. I love it. And I'm looking forward to it already. Like counting down the days to daylight savings time where it's, daylight past 5:30, which I love. So I'm ready for the holidays. I know that sounds very Scroogeous, but I'm ready for the holidays to be over.
Well,
I love the new year.
Solstice. Days are getting longer again.
Yes, we have.
Hey, that's good.
I read a thing where you can start to notice it maybe minute by minute, just barely minute by minute. Like you might notice tonight, it's 5:40 before it gets dark, 5:45. So, by the way, is it a good thing or a bad thing that we're having these narratives being busted left and right? Like you brought it up a minute ago. Before we move on, I don't know. I don't know what to think on this narrative stuff because it seems like in college football we're talking more about narratives and this and that than we are the actual games. Is that good?
I think it's a great thing, right? Because it has to get to a point where the fluff, the narratives, everything around the sport seems so absurd that it pushes us back to the sport, right? I mean, like think about it this way. Think about how media has become so decentralized over the past 5 to 10 years. It used to be you had the 4 major networks and that's what everybody watched. And then it spread out to 1,000,001 different outlets and ways. And then, man, now that's getting weirder and weirder. Maybe that pushes people back to the big 4 networks and maybe that pushes things back to the actual games, the actual conversation of what happened on the field, Cole, because as many people who are out there pushing narrative after narrative and opinion after opinion, almost every single one of them has proven to be wrong to this point. So I'm going to go through some of these quickly, and we'll discuss them as we go here, Cole. But how about this? Number one, 3 out of the 4 teams that got a bye lost their game.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, Georgia, Ohio State, all lost. So it just proves that this structure that we have is completely broken. It's warped, and it really penalizes the quote-unquote best teams in America.
No, the structure and calendar altogether, we've talked about it before, Diesel. It's messed up. And I think Nick Saban, we'll get to this audio probably tomorrow. I don't know if we'll have time for it today, but Nick Saban had some good audio on College Game Day Saturday, I think, Diesel, pertaining to the schedule of college football. But the structure itself is so whack. I think it was last week when I was by myself. I said, in what world should you have 3.5 weeks between games?
Yeah.
High school, you have playoff, next week playoff. Pro, hey, I don't know if you know this or not, the NFL ended last night.
Yeah.
Saturday, in less than 7 days, we've got playoffs.
Dan Lanning went off on the schedule as well.
Like, what are we doing? Why do you have 3.5 weeks? So on this first, myth that has to be busted, I'm one that kind of leans traditional, Diesel, and says you still have to go out and play the game and you still have to tackle and play fundamental football. But no, in no world does it make sense for these teams to have 3.5 weeks off.
Number 2, Bama completely overmatched and non-competitive, losing to Indiana 38-3. Oh my God. Alabama looked like a team that absolutely did not belong. So they get punked in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
They come back and beat Oklahoma on the road, and we were all saying, maybe Georgia's just that good, and Bama turns it on at the right time. They had a warm-up, a quote-unquote meaningless warm-up game in the SEC championship game. They took it to Oklahoma and they beat them, and then they come back and they face this Indiana team. And is that not the SEC and Big Ten conversation wrapped up in a nutshell? Legacy program in Bama getting absolutely curb stomped.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I made my predictions on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Last Wednesday, I think, before the new year, and I thought this game was going to be close. I couldn't have been more wrong. It wasn't close to close, right? It was never competitive, 38-3. You're right. Indiana was in a different class, a different echelon. I mean, think about this. I want you to hear these words. Indiana, in college football now, we're talking football, Diesel, outgained Alabama 407-193. Like, just hearing that resonate, that doesn't say, you and I aren't used to hearing that.
I mean, I knew and I believed, and a lot of people believed, that Alabama's run game blows this year.
Yeah, it sucks.
But you thought that, the pass game could float that boat if it needed to. And like, hey, even if you lose the game, but you lose it by a score of like 38-27, it's not embarrassing. The pass game was able to keep you competitive in the game, but it wasn't even close. And Curt Cignetti is probably the best coach in college football right now.
Oh, there's no doubt. He's the modern day Nick Saban. Yeah. He is the modern day Nick Saban.
Too.
He did. Every coach, Diesel, that's playing still in the playoffs worked for Nick Saban, by the way. Let me give you one more number on Alabama before we move on. I gave you 407-193. How about this? When's the last time you heard of Alabama being outrushed 215-23?
Yeah.
Diesel, think about that. Indiana ran for 215 yards on Alabama. Like, that is, Nick Saban would die.
There's a lot of Alabama fans right now who are really wishing that Kalen DeBoer had taken that job at Michigan.
How do you run for 23 yards in a college football game and you're Alabama? Like, how does that happen? Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah, Indiana ran it 50 times. But my gosh, you talk about a non-existent. That was atrocious.
And Indiana's got studs on defense. We're not trying to take anything away from Indiana, but Alabama was just god-awful, non-existent.
And we're so bad.
How about Miami, the team that shouldn't have even been there? There was a perversion of justice to have Miami jump Notre Dame in the last week. Well, they've just won 2 playoff games, and now they're sitting there in the Final Four.
Man, I'll tell you what a game that was. Madcraft called me New Year's Eve night after the game, and it was 11:30 or something, and he called me, and as you can imagine, Diesel, Madcraft was elated after that Miami win. And I told him then, and I'll say the same thing now, I was very, very impressed with Miami. And look, I knew, you knew, Diesel, we talked about it, that Miami's defense was legit. That front seven's legit. They've got dudes that are going to be playing on Sunday next year. But the way that Miami played that night on New Year's Eve, the way that they handled and manhandled Ohio State, I was shocked that Ohio State's offense was as bad as it was in that game. But I was also, Diesel, equally shocked in the way that Miami defensively played. I came away from that thinking, you know what? I respected Miami, but now I really respect them. They've got my attention now.
I think Miami and their defense could take them to a national championship because Carson Beck was not good in that game. He threw for 138 and a touchdown. He was efficient-ish, getting 5 yards a carry, 5 yards of reception.
Hey, that's good for Bryce Young numbers.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're going to get into that, Panthers fans. We're coming to you a little bit later. But the rushing game was good, 153 in that game, but it didn't blow anybody away.
Yeah.
But the run defense for Miami absolutely shut Ohio State down. A kid by the name of Bo Jackson, C.J. Donaldson, they couldn't get anything going. Julian Sayin, negative 42 yards rushing for Julian Sayin in that game. And Julian Sayin he had a good game through the air, 287 and a touchdown, but he threw a couple of picks, and Miami's defense kept them in a game where they offensively they weren't sparkling, they weren't spectacular, but hey, defense wins championships, and this is time for Miami to prove that adage more than ever. How about this?
Real quick on that, Miami. Real quick. Defense does win championships. The only thing that surprises me, Diesel, think about this. Ohio State in total yardage outgained Miami 332 to 291. So when the game was over, Ohio State had nearly 40 more yards of total offense than Miami did, yet had 10 less points. I think that's, number one, wild, but it says a lot about situational aspects of the game that we talked about. So, again, you go back to my last point is you credit Miami's coaching as well. I think there was a lot talked about from my part of Ryan Day, calling plays in that game Wednesday night, but I thought Miami really – I thought their coaching staff in ways outcoached Ohio State on Wednesday.
Number 7 rush defense in the country this season, by the way. Not quite so good against the pass.
Yeah.
But, hey, if you're a team that likes to run the ball, you're going to have a hard time beating these Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
How about the fact that the only teams the SEC could beat in the postseason also have SEC patches on their jerseys? Missouri lost to Virginia.
Ooh.
LSU lost to Houston. Tennessee lost to Illinois. Vandy lost to Iowa. Mississippi State lost to Wake Forest. These are, the SEC is so deep that they could beat anybody's best teams. The fifth best team in the SEC is better than the best team in the ACC. Well, guess what? Missouri's losing to a non-traditional power. Are any of those teams that I just said that SEC teams lost to ones that you would consider to be traditional powers? No,
you said
not.
Missouri. Who else?
Missouri lost to Virginia. LSU lost to Houston. Tennessee to Illinois. Vandy to Iowa. Mississippi State to Wake Forest.
And you know what? Here's where I am, and I talked about this a little bit on Saturday, I believe, after New Year's, Diesel, on our social media. I never really put, like 10 years ago, I never really put a whole lot of stock into bowl games, but now even more so. Like there's nobody meaningful playing, and I mean that respectfully, like the starters, right? The guys who have been playing all season long. So I just don't know where I am on these bowl games. Again, I hate to say it because it sounds like they're meaningless, but when these outcomes are like you just brought up, but you have 20, 30, 40 opt-outs, how do you judge that?
Well, to that point, and the idea that nobody watches bowl season anymore and that it's meaningless, how about the fact that a lot of these bowl games this season had record viewership numbers? The Pop-Tarts Bowl had 8.7 million viewers. That's the best since 1991.
Wow.
The the Tax Slayer Bowl, highest ratings ever. It's hard to read these logos are teeny tiny. I've just got a whole list of bowls here. The Rate Bowl, highest since 2011. The LA Bowl, best on record. The what is that? The Bad Boy Mowers Bowl, best on record. I'm not saying these games were good football games, but the ratings showed that people were watching and that they were viewed by more people than these bowls ever have been. So
somebody watched.
Yeah,
I watched.
People were watching.
I watched. I loved
it. I wish we hadn't been watching that Clemson-Penn State game. That was awful.
That was bad. Real
bad. So, that whole nobody watches bowl season anymore narrative is busted. And to me, I don't care who's putting on the jersey out there. I don't care if 25 guys opted off of your roster and only 10 guys opted off their roster. The name on the jersey, the front of the jersey, to me still matters more than the name on the back of the jersey. And if you lose a game, it's a blemish on your season. Hey, I don't say, oh, well, the postseason, that's something separate from the regular season. No, it's still the same team. If you lose, it's a blemish at the end of your season.
And one more comment on this whole bowl game thing. I think that every bowl executive, Diesel, that we've talked to at ACC kickoffs, the ones I've met, like I love throughout the course of a season at Clemson in South Carolina, you meet all these, Cheez-It Bowl executives, Pop-Tart, all these different guys come and watch these teams, right? And I think the one thing that they would say, I don't know if they would admit it, but the one thing that when you go back to your ratings point about bowl games, that they would say thank you to Las Vegas. Because you know what? Gambling keeps people interested in these games. I can tell you it does. Sure. People have no vested interest in Penn State and Clemson if they live in Illinois. But all of a sudden, when they see that -2 in favor of Penn State and it's 18 degrees up in New York City, I'm going to watch. So they might not admit it, but I can guarantee that gambling has a lot to do with why people still watch these bowl games.
How about another narrative busted, Cole, is that G6 teams don't belong, because if you look at the results all over the playoff, there were a lot of teams with big-time logos and patches on their jerseys who didn't belong either. So the whole narrative that James Madison didn't belong, the narrative that Tulane didn't belong, got busted by the fact that Alabama got their ass kicked, that Texas Tech got their ass kicked.
Well, I think if you believe going into it that playoff blowouts were the only reason G5s couldn't be in the playoff, then yes, if that was your reasoning behind it, then yes, your narrative got busted. If you had deeper thinking of, like I did, I don't think these G5 teams belong because they didn't earn a spot at the table. They didn't compete in the same competitive situations all season long. There are other ways to go about it. So I would disagree with you there.
Well, the teams that people wanted in over them, like Vandy lost to a team that was 10 spots below them in the rankings. So you can't say that Vandy should have been in there. You can't say that James Madison didn't deserve to be in there because they actually scored points against Oregon. Texas Tech has a big fat goose egg.
They scored points. But they did score points, and I'll give them that.
The whole game matters. I don't subscribe to the, well, they had their backups in it later in the game. I don't care. The whole game is the whole game.
Yeah, I still don't. What I saw didn't change my thinking. I still don't believe, one, I get it, one's fine. I still don't believe we should ever have two G5 teams in. I didn't allow that to change my narrative there. But, Texas Tech, they did not score. Their defense was fantastic. That was a really good game. We'll get into it more in the next segment. But I was disappointed in the offensive outcome. When you look at that JMU score, you said, they were able to, 34 points? Mm-hmm. So you would expect a team like Texas Tech, who has a high-powered offense, to be able to put up some points.
And through all of this, Cole, to put a nice big gold and blue bow on this, Notre Dame fans are still salty as hell because every team that lost, every team that looked bad in the college football playoff, Notre Dame fans were first on it on Twitter saying, see, Notre Dame should have been in there. Notre Dame should have been there. Notre Dame, you lost to the team that lost to the team that you lost to in week number 1 of the season. Shut the hell up. Stop arguing it. Nobody believes you.
It's great for radio, for you and I to sit here. But I will tell you this. As much as I love college football, Diesel, there's a part of me that gets exhausted by all these different narratives and myths. I love football. I love watching high-level football. Like last night, I think I had as much fun last night watching that Steelers-Ravens game that I have in a long, long time. I think that was the best NFL game I've watched in years. And one of the reasons I love the NFL is when I turn on the TV and I'm watching the experts, right, talk about the NFL games, Diesel, they're talking X's and O's. They're talking about why this guy didn't make that throw. They're talking about why this team didn't do this. I just feel like in college football, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. We have 8 million narratives, and I love it. It's great for radio.
Yeah.
But we don't spend near enough time talking football.
8 million. I believe that's the number of players who entered the transfer portal as well.
Got my numbers mixed up.
I've seen as high, Cole, and I don't know how this is true. And this can't be just football. Can't be. But 4,000 players, close to 4,000 players entered their names into the transfer portal, some of whom I'm sure withdrew, have decided to go back where they're going to go. But come on, man, 4,000. That's roughly half.
No, it's a lot. And I saw those numbers. I think it climbed from like 2,500 to 3,000 to 3,500 in less than 24 hours, maybe. It is alarming, but that's kind of the world we live in, right? It's crazy.
When your freshman place kicker is entering the transfer portal, we're in a weird spot with this sport.
No doubt. It really is. Be careful about the kickers, man. I don't know if you saw that last night. That guy. We're going to get into that at 5 o'clock. I've got audio, 5 o'clock overreaction Monday. Speaking of kickers, that last night was rough. But let's get into the Tolo's reaction. A lot on the stream happening right now. Also on the Joy Law Firm text line, where you can text the show at 844-326-3663. The phone lines will be wide open at 5 o'clock for Overreaction Monday. We also have Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com, coming up 4:22 on the show. But we'll get to your reactions and dive in a little bit deeper on these college football playoff games. That's next. We are being flooded with comments, reaction to the college football playoff. What happened? You can get your comments in at 844-326-3663. It's the Joy Law Firm text line. You can also overreact on the phone lines at 5 p.m. today. The phone lines will be wide open. A few texts to get to, and then a lot of messages on the stream, Diesel, where you can watch the show live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. 65 Tolos watching the show right now. And by the way, we talked about it briefly back in the last segment, but hope all of you Tolos had a happy new year. Shout out to Shane Barrett, Diesel, who as of today is officially a upstate. What do we call ourselves if you live in the upstate? I know if you're in Spartanburg, you call yourself a Spartanburger, evidently, right? If you're an upstatian.
Yeah, upstater.
Upstate. I like that. Upstater.
Upstater. Shane
Barrett's officially an upstater today. You know, let me tell you, I'm going to pick on Shane for a minute. Listen to this. Shane texted me today. Here's what he said. I was so mad at him. He said, I'm having a total brain fart. What is the FM radio station for you guys? And I said, Shane, you've been gone for like a year and a half, and you've already forgot the FM frequency. And then I texted him, 97.7, 97.1. He came back and said 3 to 7, right? And I said, geez, yes. Shane, where have you been?
Shane, are you the one that sends in your upset pick at like 1 a.m. every week because you time shift and listen whenever you want to?
He moved to Tuscaloosa and he's all messed up in the head. But good to have you back, Shane. Happy to have you back. Dewey says Ryan Day sucks and should be fired. Kirby Smart should be named Kirby Dumb. That is such a Dewey comment. We did, didn't we? Let's see. Shane Barrett says Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia lost in the same weekend. It was awesome. Figueroa Tom says this has been the most fun playoff to watch. So that's an interesting comment there, Diesel, by Tom, again on our Facebook stream, saying this has been the most fun playoff to watch. I would like to poll the audience, poll the Tolos out there, and see if they agree with that. Because it has been a fun playoff game. I would agree. Like, that Ole Miss game, Diesel, that we all watched, that was one of the best college football games I've seen. It was fantastic. It was a lot of fun to watch. I don't recall, and help me out if I'm wrong here. You and I talked about it, but it's been a year ago. I don't recall last year's first and second round being as fun, right? Because I think you mentioned a couple of weeks ago there were several blowouts in last year's CFP in the first round. I know, was it Boise State? Wasn't really close. SMU wasn't really close. So I would agree with Tom that this year's playoff has been a lot better. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the quality of competition outside of Alabama.
Yeah, last year you had Notre Dame, beat Indiana in a game that Indiana was non-competitive in for the most part of that game. Penn State beat down SMU. Clemson had to have a furious comeback against Texas to make that one seem like it wasn't so bad. And then Ohio State absolutely trounced Tennessee in Columbus. So that first round last year wasn't good either.
No, it wasn't. But I'll tell you this, to Tom's point, I've had a lot of fun watching it. I thought going back all the way to the first round, I thought the Alabama-Oklahoma game, Diesel, was fantastic, right? The way that Alabama came back. Oregon, JMU, we talked about it in the last segment. JMU at least was able to score points. Ole Miss, Tulane, not much to talk about. Miami A&M was interesting because it was a final score of 10-3. So we really didn't know we were all kind of disappointed in A&M.
Yeah.
We just didn't know what to expect out of Miami. Then you come back, if you're Miami on New Year's Eve, 24-14 over Ohio State. I think that was a statement win. And you know what? I think Bill Bender brought this up on Wednesday, Diesel, when you were out. I asked Bill Bender about that matchup that night, Ryan Day calling plays, and I thought Bill Bender brought up a great point. And I said, Bill, is it a big deal that Ryan Day is calling plays? And Bill said, only if they lose, right? And now that we're having the conversation, Ohio State's offense didn't look good Friday or Wednesday. Ohio State, Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith, Diesel, that team did not look offensively the way we thought they would. And I think the biggest thing that we failed to remember with Ohio State, even though they were uber talented and played cupcakes all regular season and were never tested, I think the biggest thing we failed to remember regarding the Buckeyes was that they lost a lot from last year's national championship team. They lost a lot of dudes that are now playing on Sundays, and Julian Sayen's a young quarterback, and their offensive line, they've got one senior on their offensive line. So while we were impressed with Miami, I think the Big Ten, this is my opinion, I think the Big Ten was so bad through the middle and bottom part of the conference, Diesel, that we just saw Ohio State all year long beat up on these teams, and we thought Ohio State was elite. And guess what? The last two games against Indiana and Miami, Ohio State wasn't anywhere near elite. They weren't.
No, they weren't. And, you know, how much of the conversation needs to revolve around having that extra week off, more time off. I mean, these guys, they have played every single week with the exception of the byes. So every week or every other week for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
And then you put them into a situation where they have, 3.5, 4 weeks off between games. You get rusty. You just do. Everything is not as crisp as it once was. I mean, look at 3 out of the 4 teams that had a first round bye lost this year. And if you want to put the G5 teams in there as a punching bag, put them in there, because guess what? They're a tune-up game. It's a good thing for you if you get James Madison or if you get Tulane, because guess what? You're not going to look all that crisp either. You've taken a couple of weeks off. If you're playing those teams, then you clearly weren't in your conference championship game, so you need the tune-up.
So what we've learned is if you get a bye, you actually want a G5 in.
Hey, I've seen a lot of narratives out there saying, isn't it actually a better thing to miss your conference championship game, especially if you're in the SEC? Finish third place in the SEC, get that 5 seed, that 6 seed, wherever it may be, face off against the 12 or the 11 seed G5 team, get your little tune-up back in, and then bam, by the time you got to go face Georgia, you're ready to go. And they have had multiple weeks off, and they're not as sharp as they once were.
Here's that audio I was talking about, though, regarding just that 3-week break, Diesel, the calendar, the entire college football schedule. Nick Saban talked about it on College Game Day. In case you missed it, here's what Saban had to say on Saturday.
Need to change the calendar. Okay. Mm-hmm. So chaos in college football starts tomorrow. Okay. The portal opens. There's already been 120 starters say they're getting in the portal from, big Power 4 schools.
Wow.
So what happens if Ole Miss wins and Oregon wins? So Oregon's got 2 coordinators,
which they both did, by the way.
Guys from their team to their team, and guys from other teams to their team.
Yep.
And Ole Miss has got 6 coaches going to LSU trying to take guys to LSU from their team, but they got to play a game.
Right.
So now, is that chaos or is that chaos?
Yeah,
so
totally.
This whole college football calendar needs to change. That would be my New Year's resolution.
But I've heard that. Besides you,
here's the best part.
Go to with that. Besides him, who do you, with your influential voice, who do you call to make that happen? We keep talking about changing it, but who changes it?
Well, I don't think there's anybody in authority in college football except the conference commissioners. Right. So if they can't get together on it,
they won't.
You're going to have a problem. Yeah. But everybody's going to be sort of having their own self-interest, in mind.
Own agenda.
Yeah. But unless they make the portal in May, which I've said before, to kind of match up with the academic calendar, change spring practice till after that, so that you can get your team together and work over the summer, just like an NFL team does. They don't have their team together until after the draft, after free agency. It's May. So do the same thing in college football, and you wouldn't have these issues with coaches changing jobs, because everybody could finish the season with their team, which is what's best for the players.
That's right.
That's number one, because it'd be no hurry, because now there's a hurry because all these recruiting the calendar is hurry up and get a coach, or you can't take advantage of an early signing date, and you can't take advantage of the portal.
What is the procedure, though, for getting it done? I mean, you've been part of rules changes in the past, and how do you go about getting the movement started to get some of these things implemented?
The NCAA doesn't seem to be in control of the way things are happening right now, and I think if we're going to change things in college football, we've got to get Congress to have some kind of antitrust legislation, because the NCAA NCAA can't enforce their own rules. So even if they tried to change this, somebody might sue them, and they might not be able to do it. That's how we got where we are right now.
How bad of a place is that to be, Diesel? What Nick Saban just said. The NCAA can enforce their own rules.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I know that was a little bit long, and I let it play because it was so good. That's audio gold. And I liked Kirk kind of asking, well, how do we get it done? Because, Nick, you know, you're as smart as anybody. How do we get it done?
He's clearly trying to say, hey, coach, like, we don't want to lose you on this show, but we really need you to go up there and take the reins of this thing.
Yeah.
But even Nick Saban, even if somebody, the NCAA, they're currently the ones in charge.
Yeah.
Even if the NCAA says, hey, Nick, guess what? You're going to be our spokesman now. We're going to put you in charge. Nick Saban wouldn't have any power.
Right.
Because there's no enforceability with anything the NCAA does right now. And look, I don't think the answer is some new college sports commission that's going to, I mean, they're not going to have any power either. And then here we are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're getting rid of the devil we know for the devil we don't.
And he said it, getting Congress involved is the only way that he sees, you know, a light at the end of the tunnel, Diesel. And you and I have seen attempts for that to happen, but
yeah,
like that doesn't look realistic at times. So it's hard. It's deflating. I think he's 100% dead on with the schedule in terms of do it like the NFL where, you know, now these colleges, Diesel, I mean, heck, you and I are covering spring games in April and May. I think he's 100% right. Move the portal to spring. Mm-hmm. Who cares about spring games? You start in May after the portal. That's when all the coaching stuff happens, just like in the NFL. And then you get your team together. You have them through the summer. I mean, he's right. Look, training camp in the NFL doesn't happen until August. Yeah. So I know the college football season starts a little earlier, but I just there's so much truth to what Nick Saban said. It makes you have a little bit of hope, but at the same time, it makes you think, well, is anything ever going to get done about it? That's the problem.
You know, you look around the landscape and it's hard to find anything that you're hopeful about with the way this sport is going, the direction that it's going, and the involvement and the will to do something about it from the only people that as of right now seems like they could do anything about it. And we talked about it. You were dead on about the SCORE Act. And you said there's no way this thing actually comes to a vote. There's no way that this thing gets done. Well, they were right there. They were ready to vote on it. And they said, nope, we're going to snatch this thing away. We're going to make some more changes, which those changes inevitably are going to line somebody's pocket. I don't know who's going to get rich off this thing, but somebody will. And it doesn't seem like the people that have the power to do something about it actually want to do something about it, or not enough of them do.
No,
at least.
They don't care. Last thing before we run to a break on the games that happened, we cannot, Diesel, have this conversation without giving credit to Ole Miss. Ole Miss, the way I said to a couple of buddies of mine, and I want to take you into the conversation I had. This was what, Friday night, Saturday, whatever night it was. The days run together this time of year, right? I told several buddies of mine, this is how dead wrong I was. There's no way. And I'm telling you, Diesel, there's no way Kirby Smart on 3.5 weeks of preparation loses to Ole Miss. Yeah. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you. I was as confident, even with my my wallet, right, that it was not going to happen. Guess what? It happened. Ole Miss 39-34 over Georgia. Out of all the games, I love Miami's statement win over Ohio State, but of all the games, Diesel, I think this Ole Miss win was the biggest statement game of the entire college football playoff thus far. For the second year in a row in this round, Georgia goes down. And can we just say, our hats off to Trinidad Chambliss.
Deserves it.
Oh,
deserves it. Where was he playing last year?
Division
Ferris
2.
State.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever heard of Ferris State who's listening to the show. I promise you that. So he deserves credit, Cole, throughout all this push and all this conversation about Lane Kiffin going to LSU. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later on in the Daily Wires, but Trinidad Chambliss has already announced that if the NCAA grants him another year of eligibility, which that's a whole other can of worms. But if they grant him another year, he's coming back to Ole Miss.
Well, and I think that's one of the best stories in college football, Diesel, to be quite frank, because when I watched that game, and I know you probably felt similar and other people probably felt the same way. When I watched that game last week, I saw what Trinidad Chambliss did, and I thought with my eyes, oh, that's the best quarterback in the country. Like, I know Fernando Mendoza is incredible, but I said, oh, whoa, like Johnny Manziel type, right? I mean, it was that special what Trinidad Chambliss did. I'm not going to say he single-handedly beat Georgia, but my goodness, Diesel, 39 points on a Kirby Smart-led defense. I think we just have to look at Trinidad Chambliss and say, you're him.
Yeah.
You're him. Because that was an unbelievable performance. And we talked about Miami and Indiana. How do you not count Ole Miss? I mean, Ole Miss, with that quarterback, you're telling me that they can't win it all right now?
Yeah. Who does I don't have the bracket up in front of me. Who does Ole Miss play?
Miami.
Okay.
Yep.
So now we're saying, can that Miami defense that held A&M to 3 points, that held Ohio State to 14 points, what do they have to hold that Ole Miss team to beat them? Because Ole Miss is scoring like crazy right now.
I just loved watching them play. Man.
80 points in their last 2 games.
That's a lot
combined.
I mean, I'm telling you, you just watched it and felt like, oh my gosh, this guy's special. So hats off to Trinidad. You said it, Division II last year, just in a phenomenal college football story. And that Thursday night game that we're going to talk about here in a few days, that's going to be a lot of fun. Miami and Ole Miss here in just a few days.
When we come back, Cole, I've got another piece of audio for you, and we'll see if this coach from a small school that nobody would be paying a lot of attention to is spitting straight facts or what. That's next.
and phone. This is Wired to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Hey, we're always hoping that somebody is going to step up and save college football. We need voices who are out there telling the truth. And Cole, if you want to get past the point where we feel like we need congressional intervention to fix this thing, maybe you need some tough love, right? I grew up in the generation where you learned life lessons by watching Family Matters and watching Carl Winslow drop some knowledge on us. Well, that's what's going on right now from the Northern Illinois head football coach. His name is Thomas Hammock, and I think I know what's causing this issue, Cole. Bam, I just fixed it.
Okay.
Here is audio. This is a little bit longer. It's about 1 minute and 25 seconds long. Thomas Hammock was asked about losing a ton of players in the transfer portal. By the way, this is the coach that beat Notre Dame a couple years ago. Here is Thomas Hammock from Northern Illinois.
To be honest with you, I love the challenge. You know, it don't bother me one bit because you know what? In life, you're going to make decisions. Right? Sometimes it's going to work in your favor and sometimes it's not. I told our team the other day, you know, we lost all these guys. Let's see who plays. So it's all good when people put it on Twitter, hey, all glory to God, I'm going in the transfer portal. Let's see if they play. How many of those guys going to play or travel or get snaps? You know, I was going to tweet something the other day, a picture of me and say, you know what? I enjoyed my college experience. I didn't get one dime. But the lessons I learned was more valuable than any money you can ever pay me. Get your degree, learn valuable lessons that's going to help you in the long term of your life. That's the whole purpose. This is a transition from being a kid to a grown-up. And I hope people don't lose focus of that. Everybody's talking about everything else besides what is the most important thing for going to college. Because if you're going to college to go get a couple dollars, you might as well go get a job. This is too hard to go get a couple dollars. Learn the lesson that you need to learn to be successful in life for the next 40 to 50 years of your life.
Wow.
I would do it again for free, because of the things I learned. That's why I'm standing here today, because of what I learned in college, not because of how much somebody gave me.
It's easy to say these kinds of things.
Gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it's easy to say these things about players that have already left you, right? I mean, I don't know if Coach Hammock is in the locker room saying, hey, third string linebacker, maybe you shouldn't get in the transfer portal because I guarantee you're not going to play. You're not going to travel. You're not going to dress. You're not going to play for that team. So you have a better chance by staying here, learning life lessons with me. And if you want to get on the field, you have a better chance of doing that here. I mean, tough love. We need people out there with tough love. The problem is a lot of these agents are family members, their uncles, their parents, their friends. I've even heard of, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard of roommates being tagged as agents for some of these players. They don't know anything.
Wish I was in college now.
Yeah. I mean, you can be a kingpin.
I'd be a heck of an agent, right?
Kingpin. I mean, there's no certification process. There's guys out there that are lying to players, taking a lot of money from them. I've seen some agents taking as high as 10 or 20% of what these players may get if they enter the transfer portal. You got a lot of people giving a lot of really bad advice, and it feels like Thomas Hammock is finally stepping up and giving them some tough love that they need. Problem is, nobody's going to listen to it.
No, and look, I think you're right. I love what Thomas Hammock, is that right? I love what he said. He's 100% right, and I love his heart and message behind it. But the problem is we're so far gone. I mean, we've already lost sight of this whole thing. Like money, I mean, I know not everybody believes in it, right? But I believe in the Bible, and I believe the verse that says money is the root of all evil. And I believe that when you let money into certain situations, Diesel, I think this is the road you go down. And I just think even though he's dead on with what he said, I think we're too far gone. And, you know, we've talked about it a million times. How do you put the worms back in the can? I love his heart, but what do you do now?
Yeah, there's a lot of kids that you can talk to until you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
Stay off drugs. Don't chase women. Stay where you are and grow in my program. But when somebody says, hey, man, here's $25,000 to come over to this other school. See you, coach. Got to go.
I mean, take, for example, the perfect example of this entire conversation is DJ Lagway visiting Virginia tonight.
Yeah.
That is the perfect example
Leaving
of what we're
Florida.
talking about. Diesel, leaving Florida? In what world would that ever have happened before NIL, right? It wouldn't have.
Well, if you look at bowl season results, the SEC sucks.
Well, results don't mean everything because one team had the wrong result, but they're still in the playoffs. What are we talking about? We'll get into it next. Buckeye Mike Diesel. I love Buckeye Mike. He is upset with me and me making a comment about Ohio State's soft cupcake schedule. He has got in on the Joy Law Firm text line hot and heavy in the last few minutes, and he says, I'll talk to you at 5. So I think he's talking about he's going to save his comments, he's going to save his text, and I guess he's going to pick up the phone for Overreaction Monday.
Don't chicken out, Mike.
He's
you
mad.
said you're going to call in.
Oh, I love it.
Don't pull a Madcraft and say, is it okay? Do I call now?
Yeah,
Can I call now,
that's right.
guys? When would be a good time? If I call, will I be first one on the line? Call in whenever you're ready.
Oh, my gosh. That's so good, man. That's so good. So, Buckeye Mike, we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. Good conversation to be had. I just don't think Ohio State was really tested until the final 2 weeks of the season, but we'll talk about it at 5 o'clock. We also have Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com, in the very next segment. A lot more to get to. We're going to get into Chad Morris with him, and again at 5:20. Big news there. But, Diesel, let's talk Carolina Panthers. In the world we live in, a team that looked very, very bad on Saturday night. You watched it. I watched it. We all watched it. A game where you know, you and I talk for a living. We're supposed to have words. Sometimes you just don't have the words to say after watching Bryce Young and Dave Canales. But nonetheless, the Carolina Panthers are in the postseason despite a loss on Saturday night. Diesel, did you have any worry that the Saints were going to ruin your party?
Oh, I had every worry.
Okay.
I had every worry. I actually tweeted over the weekend that as a Panthers fan / survivor, I have every fear that this game could go awry. The Panthers Buccaneers game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, some screwiness happened with the officiating, and I'm not one who loves to harp on officials, but when you have multiple egregiously bad calls in a row, the Panthers needed help from the heavens to get into the playoffs. And thank you, Falcons fans.
That's right.
Thank you for doing it.
No, you're right. They're look, here's where I am on the bad officiating. If it's bad officiating, I'm gonna call it like it is. I we've had this conversation many times. I go back to 2 seasons ago with Carolina and LSU. Remember that game? It was Carolina didn't play good. They blew a 17-point lead, but there were horrible calls in that game. 2 things can be true, Diesel. Saturday, the Panthers didn't help themselves. Dave Canales said it after the game. But the other thing that can be true is that the referees were atrocious.
Yeah.
How'd they miss the guy's helmet? Like,
yeah. Oh,
how
the
does that
face mask,
happen?
yeah.
He literally grabbed the face mask and pulled his helmet off.
Like,
No
hey,
flag.
what's this thing in the DB's hand? Why?
Yeah.
Wait, it's a different color from his jersey. Somehow that got into his hand. Oh, wait, and his fingers are wrapped around the face mask.
Yeah.
Something had to have happened. You know, when a building burns down, the firefighters don't just spray it with water and drive away. They try to investigate and figure out what happened. I'm not here to say that being an official is an easy job. It's also probably not a fun job because every decision you make is being ripped apart. Nobody ever says, hey, great call, ref. You guys did a phenomenal job. You called a clean football game. It is only ever pooping on what the referees do over the course of a game. So it is a thankless job. And if they had to go back and review every single play, be like, no, referees, you missed this one. Referees, you got that one wrong. The games would take 10 hours to play.
It is a thankless job, but I'm going to be kind of critical for a minute, Diesel. The one thing that I don't think is talked about enough, people don't want to say it. People don't want to hurt feelings. I'm going to say it. When it comes to officials, any level of sport, here's what we don't talk about enough because it's mean, it's rude. The rankings that officials go by, just like your credit score, a lot of that has to do with the age of your credit, right? The longer your credit score is open, the longer you have a credit score, Diesel, you're going to have better credit just from that one factor alone, right? Mm-hmm. The longer an official is in high school basketball, is in high school football, college football, NFL, their hierarchy, they're going to continue to climb the ladder. But what nobody wants to talk about is the highest level of football that's played on earth in the National Football League is officiated by guys who are having to go to the doctor to get their eyes and vision checked every other week. Like, that's what nobody talks about. This is the highest level of competition on planet Earth. And we've got, I love the guy from Gaffney who reffed the game. It was his 30th year. They shouted him out on the ESPN broadcast. I love you. But we have old freaking officials, Diesel, that you know it. I know it. When you get old in life, you're not as sharp. So, that's the one thing that I don't know why it's never talked about enough. You get older in life, you're not as sharp, you're not as gifted physically. And some of these calls, I would be furious if I were a Panther fan after Saturday night.
So should we only hire former players, who are, hey, you want to stay involved in the game? You got two options or three options. You either become a broadcaster, you become a coach, or you become an official. And you could stick around the game for another 10 years as an official. I don't know, maybe we should start retiring these guys. Maybe it's part of your pension as an NFL player to come back and be a referee. I don't know. I don't know how they handle this.
It's just life.
If we professionalized officiating the way that a lot of people want it to be, like you are a full-time official, that is the only thing you do. Do you really believe that the missed calls would be better? And sometimes it's you weren't looking in the right spot.
No,
i.e. like the Panthers player gets his helmet ripped off, or that Ted McMillan OPI where it's a little bit of hand fighting. And
that was horrible.
Swipes past the DB's face mask. He didn't even connect with the side of the DB's helmet.
That was
they called it OPI.
I'm telling you.
And the explanation that they were giving on NFL game day.
Yeah.
And they even had a head of officials there. And he was like, well, if he makes the swipe with the hand and he connects with the helmet, he didn't connect with the helmet.
No, it was horrible.
But the official was on the wrong side of the play. Had the official been inside of the DB and the wide receiver, you can see that clearly. But he was on the outside. He's standing over there in the white paint. He can't see that. But it feels like you need to have somebody in the booth watching that and saying, well, that was a penalty that was missed on the play.
And I'm not saying younger officials, Diesel, will fix everything. I promise you I'm not saying that. But, just going back to my experience, I see a lot of high school football and basketball firsthand. I do see guys, no offense, that aren't physically inept enough to get down the field to make the right call. So I'm just saying, nobody talks about it, but what was the youngest? That game Saturday night was so important. Who was the youngest official out there is what I want to know. I think it matters. Is it the end-all, be-all? No. But that's just my little rant.
So do we need to have AI cameras as officials?
Yeah,
we're going to robo-umps in baseball.
Let's do it.
AI umps in football?
That Tet call, I'm telling you, I watched that. I'm not a Panther fan. And I'm sitting there thinking, what on earth is that? That was the worst call ever.
The fact that it negated a huge game.
Did you see Bryce Young on the sideline?
No.
He was getting into it with the officials. He should have. So now, the actual game, what happened? 16-14, Tampa Bay defeats Carolina.
Yep.
Diesel, as much as I just moaned and griped about the officials, oh my God, Dave Canales, this play calling, I don't know that I have ever seen play calling as bad as I did Saturday night. What is this now? This is the third, fourth, fifth time you and I have had this conversation this year. It started back in that Monday night football game. Remember when Carolina lost and we came on the air the next day and said, well, maybe Dave's not built for that spot. Diesel, the play calling, what is the flea flicker? What are you doing? They were moving the ball down the field, and Dave Canales calls a flea flicker. What is your reasoning for that?
It feels like he many times wants to get cute and wants to be seen as some innovative offensive genius, but the game is still very much up for grabs. The conditions are awful, and you're going to run a trick play. It's got a low likelihood of being successful anyway, because trick plays just don't work all that often.
Yeah.
And then you do it when the weather is as bad as it is, and Rico Dowdle just slips.
He slips.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you watched that game and you just thought, there's no way, nothing went right.
And he was asked about it post-game. And they said, hey, what did you see that was open on that flea flicker? Well, I'm not going to say it because we might use it down the road. Please Dave
God,
Canales, don't use it.
Do
not use it. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the all 22 on that particular play.
Yeah.
And was there somebody getting separation? If the play would have been successful, if Tet was running down the sideline or Xavier Legette, maybe not Xavier Legette because he's not very good. But if somebody else is running down the sideline and he's got 3 yards of separation and all the quarterback has to do is hit him with a good pass, then you say, you know what? Great play, great time to call it, just poor execution. But it doesn't matter. It's all negated because Rico Dowdle can't keep his feet under him. And the fact that early in that game, they said, oh, yeah, a couple of these players are changing their spikes. You're just doing it now? Why are you doing it now? You knew it was raining the whole game.
I'll tell you this, that flea flicker, I think Dan Orlovsky, and by the way, I loved the broadcast crew Saturday night with Fowler, Dan, and who was the third guy? It was Louis Riddick. I love the broadcast crew. I learned a lot about the game. I think Dan pointed out, though, Diesel, on that flea flicker, there were no downfield threats.
Yeah.
So, what are we doing? I don't know if it was miscommunication. I've seen very rarely a flea flicker running back screen. I don't know if that's what it was supposed to be. Nobody really knows. But here's the reality. Dave Canales was not good on Saturday night. I don't feel like he had a good game. Bryce Young was okay in the first half. He came on, played a lot better in the second half, Diesel. You saw it. We all saw. He was able to move the ball down the field. He hit on a couple of big plays. That one big play to Tet, I think you texted me where he was falling backwards and threw it. I mean, that was beautiful, right? But here's my problem. And I tweeted this out during the game. My biggest problem, other than the officials, other than Dave Canales' terrible play calling, what did we talk about, you and I talk about for the first 6 weeks of the season? One player that made this Panther team go, Rico Dowdle. And for whatever reason, down the stretch, Diesel, it feels like the Panthers have just gotten away from Rico Dowdle. He had 7 carries Saturday for 10 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm sorry. I don't care if you play Cleveland or New York Jets, Las Vegas Raiders. You're not going to win a football game in the NFL with 7 carries for 10 yards.
They totaled 14 rushing attempts.
That's bad.
14. 5 for Chuba, 7 for Rico. Bryce ran it twice. They ran the ball 14 times in a monsoon.
Yeah.
Compare that to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They ran the ball 42 times. Bucky Irving had 26 carries for 85 yards.
As he should.
He had a good day. He had a good day. When the weather is that bad, I heard him saying, and I'm surprised that they don't have this in the NFL now. The gloves, they were saying these guys are taking their gloves off because these sticky gloves become slicky gloves.
Make it worse.
When they get wet. How have they not figured out, a chemical compound that will make these gloves sticky even when it's raining?
Yeah,
why don't they have rain gloves?
Need concrete gloves, quickcrete gloves, right? It just forms the concrete.
Hey, coach, this don't look natural.
I don't know. Texter with a really funny text says, who backed their way into the playoffs more, Panthers this year or Clemson last year? That's a tough question to answer. More? I think Clemson last year. More, maybe.
Just when you consider what had to happen for this to happen.
Yeah.
Right? The Panthers had to sweep the Falcons. They had to be swept by the Saints. What did the Bucs do? Didn't the Bucs sweep the Saints but get blanked by the Falcons?
Yeah, something weird.
It's incredible how this happens. And now they're hosting a playoff game.
It's rigged, right?
What?
It's rigged. It's got to be rigged.
Wait,
There's no way.
We got to change the system, Cole. There's no reason that a 8-win team like these Carolina Panthers should be in the playoffs. This amazing season that they had is just going to be ruined by a blowout loss in the playoffs, and that's all anybody's going to think about.
Well, I'll say this. An 8-win team in the NFL is a lot closer to a 13-win team in the NFL, in my opinion, than a G5 team is to an Indiana. I don't think the gap is that much, even though, to your point, they're 8-9, right? They're 3-6 on the road. But, hey, thank God the playoff game's at home. Right? Yeah. They don't have to go on the road. Yeah. They might win. I mean, it's a tough draw. We'll get into that at 6 o'clock. We're going to look at the entire playoff picture of Diesel. But here's where we are. Carolina Panther fans, I think I had Travis Hancock from the Mac and Bone Show on Tuesday. He said it. Every Panther fan's in a tough spot. You are one of them. You will take being in the playoffs. You'll take it every day. But at the same time, you don't feel good about it. I mean, you don't feel good about like you didn't play good Saturday. So it's a weird spot to be in.
And now you know how I feel about G5 teams getting in.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to end well for you, but you'll take it. You'll take it.
It's just mind-boggling, in my opinion, that this offense, Dave Canales, is getting away from the run in my opinion, Diesel, is the season in the NFL, as the season gets longer, you go back in history and look, like that's when you have to have the dudes that are just fully committed to physicality, running the football. Last night's game, if you watch that, you want to know what physical football looks like? Watch Ravens and Steelers last night, two teams putting their bodies on the line. When you think of NFL football formulas that work down the stretch in cold, rainy weather late in the season, you think we got to have a dude that's running the football.
Yeah.
And Rico Dowdle only getting the ball 7 times. That is only on Dave Canales. I don't know.
That's game plan, right?
It's game plan.
It's game plan.
And last week, what was it last week? Well, Tet said, was it Seattle? Seattle was in too much man coverage.
It feels like they are far too eager right now to turn Tet into a superstar. He's a rookie. Slow down. Give him time. Have guys around him. When he's the only guy, I mean, it's really Tet and Jalen Coker, right?
Yeah.
Those are the
Coker
only
had a
two.
good game.
He did. He picked up 6 receptions for 47 yards. And hey, I like the fact that they're getting the tight ends involved just a little bit. Xavier Legette, again, he's a non-factor.
What is
get rid of him? I mean, trade Xavier Legette.
Diesel, that might have been the worst first round pick. I mean, other than Rice. I mean, I'm just saying, like Xavier Legette. I hate to say it because he's one of he's one of us, right? South Carolina, but that first go back to that first was the first half throw. He was coming right to left across the middle. That ball might have been out in front of him a little bit. I thought Xavier probably should have made that catch, though. Diesel, where he kind of laid out for it. The ball might have been out in front a little bit, but he's just not impacting the game. You know,
he's at this moment. Xavier Legette is a wasted roster spot. He's not a threat. He is his size and his physicality say that he should be able to be a true second threat to Teteroa McMillan. But he's just not. And they know if you need a big play, you're going to Tet.
Yeah. And I tell you what, they hit on that big play late in the game. That was a big play. That was a 40-yard pass from Bryce Young to Tet McMillan. And I love that pass from Bryce Young. However, my last point, I fussed at the officials. I fussed at Dave Canales enough for a multitude of factors, Diesel. But I still don't watch. And again, maybe I'm wrong here. I still do not turn the TV on and watch the Panthers and think, that guy that's playing quarterback gives them a really good shot to win the game. I just don't. I know he's got the stats with the game-winning drives and all that cute stuff and fluff. I just don't. I don't know what it is. I don't feel like that guy's got it. Maybe I'm wrong, and I know a lot of Panther fans like him, and he's a likable guy, but I just don't watch it and think, Bryce he's that dude. Maybe they give him another year. We'll see, though. Should be interesting.
Speaking of interesting, we're going to do a deep dive on Clemson athletics, football, basketball, all of the above. Grayson Mann of TigerNet going to join us right here next.
with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Got to get deep in the weeds with your burning Clemson questions with our very next guest, Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com. But before we talk about the transfer portal, about Chad Morris, about Dabo Swinney or the basketball program, Grayson, I just want to, have you taken your Christmas decorations down yet at the palatial Mann Estates? Do you still have lights in the tree up, or is it already down?
So I was at my parents' place all during Christmas, so I didn't decorate at my own home, but I believe the lights went down at my parents' place yesterday. So they're moving on. They're moving on.
You're a Scrooge, Grayson. No lights?
We're just lazy. We're just lazy at my house. We haven't taken the tree down yet. It's starting to turn brown and brittle. We just hadn't done it.
I took mine down like the day after. I'm ready.
Once
it's,
there was a frog in my parents' tree. They were texting me, freaking out about it. I was like, well, I'm glad I'm not here for it. So
it was a real tree, I would assume, right?
That's what they say. That's what they say, Cole.
Wow, that's amazing. No, I'm saying, was the Christmas tree a real tree or a fake tree? You were there.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't ask about the tree. It was decorated when I got there.
You can smell it.
You can smell it.
You can touch it.
What do you think I did when I went home? I was like, oh, let me go
smelling trees. Sniffing trees is all he was thinking about. Oh, Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. Good stuff. Where do we start, man? A lot to talk about. Let's start with Chad Morris, though. The biggest news, Garrett Riley dismissed last week. We talked about it when it happened. David Hood came on like in real time as it was happening, last Tuesday night, I believe, Grayson. And now just a week later, not even a week later, we find out that Chad Morris, after the rumblings of Chad Morris's name being thrown out there, in fact, this morning was approved by the Board of Trustees as the next offensive coordinator. Thus far, what is the most reaction? What direction has the reaction been that you've seen from Clemson fans? How do they feel about the hire?
Oof. Ah, man, it's like if I touch like a group chat, my entire body turns on fire just because not a lot of people are. I don't think this moves the needle for a lot of Clemson fans. It's an old coordinator that, yes, had success while he was around, but also hasn't been an offensive coordinator for 5 years. And Swinney had alluded to it in his statement this morning that Morris has sort of made the rounds, per se, around different programs, trying to understand what's kind of the operation these days, what's effective, what's not effective. Maybe it's like the Josh McDaniels redemption tour that he took last year, where he was going around studying different spots. So I think Swinney had a checklist, or at least the fans had a checklist for him. It was move on from Garrett Riley. You did that. But I think the two follow-ups were a portal quarterback that at least excited the fan base a little bit. And then the third was a coordinator that I think was kind of outside the Clemson bubble. And for Morris, it's not the hire I would have made. I think Swinney wanted to get somebody back in the building that he trusted, that was a little bit more of a commanding presence. So you get that for sure. But I do feel like the fan base, if there was excitement, there's been a lot of air taken out of the tires, per se.
So why Chad Morris? I mean, is he coming in with, a stack of those composition books full of new plays and innovative ideas? I mean, it feels like Dabo had the opportunity to do what a lot of fans wanted him to do something fresh, do something new. Instead, he goes back to the well, which is, pretty much in line with everything Dabo Swinney has done over the past 5 to 10 years of his career. Like, why? Did nobody else want the job?
I don't think it's a lack of interest. I think Cade Bell was a serious candidate. It was more, and I go back to a comment that he made in November. I'm not sure we touched on it. Maybe we should have. But he had talked about, it was before the Florida State game, about trusting his instincts more and getting away. He feels like the last several years he's been getting away from that. And he's been quoted as saying, that's a strength of mine. I needed to believe in myself a little bit more, and cited the 2010 season, or at least after that, where, ironically enough, Chad Morris was the offensive coordinator hire that he made to try to galvanize what Clemson eventually became. And that offense from 2011 to 2014, I think the obvious caveat is you had Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, and a plethora of playmakers in that system. But he says, yeah, that's one of those moves that I had to really hunker down and anchor down and trust my instincts here. So those comments, I was just kind of doing some research, listening back to old pressers, and I think he was kind of telegraphing it to us from the very start. And we had been told that Chad Morris was in town to help Clemson prepare for Florida State. So I do think that this is something that's been behind the scenes for a long time. And I think Dabo Swinney needed a few more bullet points and data points on Garrett Riley before eventually making this move. But it sounds like from the beginning that once Riley was out, Chad Morris was the guy.
Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. By the way, Tolos, you'll continue to hear Grayson through the winter and spring talking Clemson basketball and Clemson baseball coming up very, very shortly, as we've got a lot of new guests coming up here in the winter and spring as well. But Grayson staying on with us to talk Clemson. Let me ask you this. I know you don't know the answer to this, but if you had to guess, Grayson, at what point during the season or off season do you think Dabo Swinney knew that Chad Morris was going to be his next OC?
It's interesting, right? Because you have him come in for that week to sort of help you prepare.
Yeah.
He's very familiar with the Malzahn offense. And so there's that wrinkle there of, oh, maybe Swinney saw something in that week of preparation that thought maybe this could work if the situation opened itself up. And I truly believe this isn't based off of any information. I think Swinney was thinking about this for a long time, just based on how the season went. A lot of inconsistencies with the offense. I never really feel like the duo really meshed. Riley, a very passive presence, very go-lucky. And that's not a fault to him. That's just who the Riley brothers are. They're a very relaxed group of people. But I don't feel like it ever meshed between he and Swinney. So when the opportunity presented itself, this is what happened. So it's fascinating, Cole. I don't know the exact epiphany moment where he was like, Chad Morris, let's run that back. But I do believe the seeds were there, and they were planted early in November for this kind of move to be made.
You know, it's funny. There are some Clemson fans who would argue that Dabo trusting his instincts is what got him into the position that they were in this season. I mean, so Dabo says, I had to listen to myself more. Well, listening to yourself, Dabo, is kind of led to a slow slip and slow decline of this program. So it all depends on how you want to look at it. What makes you think that Chad Morris and his personality can recruit the portal studs they need right now, and also some of the high school recruits who still haven't signed yet with National Signing Day in a month?
Yeah, and you had those 15 mid-year enrollees come in, so you have those receivers already on campus moving in. Probably spent their first night in Clemson here. I know that they posted about them yesterday. But I think if we're going to harp on one thing for Chad Morris, and a positive as to what his offense will be for Clemson fans, he will spam the football to his playmakers. So if I'm a Bryant Wesco, I'm a TJ Moore, I'm a Naeem Burrows, who might be Clemson's top recruit coming in for this class. I'm looking at what Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, how they were able to get the football. I think the best thing that Morris will bring to the table and might start enticing some names outside of the Clemson bubble, whether that's recruiting or maybe even the transfer portal, is you're going to see Morris matchup hunt. And I don't think that's something Riley truly ever did, where let's say TJ was playing against Duke, TJ Moore, absolutely dominating on one side. And maybe there's not a really conceded effort to get him on that defensive back. It's like, man, Morris giving him real trouble here. Let's try to really stress that matchup and make the defense fix that. I think Morris is going to be able to do that. He was always moving around personnel groups, wide receivers. You always felt like Sammy, DeAndre Hopkins, and I had watched a few games once this name was floated. They were always in different spots, and you're always seeing them being tested on maybe, okay, we got a weak side linebacker here. Let's put Sammy Watkins on that guy and try to see if we can guard him. So I do think Morris is going to come in and say, we got a pretty good receiving room here. Depending on where they go with quarterback, I think regardless of what that stands, those receivers are going to have a heck of a year next year.
Grayson, what's the absolute latest on two guys you just mentioned with some tweets over the weekend of like this? Is that how you would do? How would you do? Like, okay, the thinking eyes tweet with the hand.
Thinking one, the pondering emoji.
TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco both pondering emoji. What does that mean?
I think it might just be people messing around. I've reached out to a lot of people that are familiar, and I think the confidence is both of them re-sign. It's a lot of just, I think, Twitter stuff. I wouldn't read too much into it, to be honest. Moore did the same thing last year, and things I don't really want to speak for him. But from what I've heard, this is just good old fun on Twitter.
Interesting.
Talking to Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com, all things Clemson. You got questions, 844-326-3663. Text it in now. What do you think finally convinced the Penn State recruit, or the portal guy, defensive back Elliott Washington, to make the move and follow Tom Allen? It was a year without Tom. What made him say, you know what, I now want to go down south with Tom?
Yeah, I think that, and obviously Clemson getting the ball rolling here, had Washington in on Sunday for a visit along with Memphis safety Chris Bracey, who's another strong candidate to come here for Clemson. And I was talking to Cole about this. I had texted him, and I think it was either last night or in the morning. I was like, I think there's going to be a commitment tomorrow. And it turned out to be Washington. I think there's familiarity on both sides. Allen wants speed. Washington's a 4-3 speed guy. He wants length. Washington's got plenty of length and great coverage skills. And he's also a willing tackler. And those are the 3 boxes that Allen wanted checked. And I think it was just a seamless fit where Washington's going to come into a room where there's a strong chance he plays a lot. And he was kind of this back and forth piece where maybe he starts one game, maybe he's more of a reserve corner. I think it's an opportunity for him in his final year to have a real strong chance to play in a weak secondary, as we've all seen throughout 2025 outside of Terrell. You didn't really name anybody that was super consistent. So this was an opportunity. If you're a guy in the portal and you want to play, especially with the familiarity with Allen, this just was one that made sense for both sides.
Let me ask you this. Do you think there's a philosophy, a differentiating philosophy between the offensive side of the football and the defensive side of the football with Tom Allen, who spoke about it back during the fall, knowing what kind of guys he wants, already getting a guy out of the portal? When I say a philosophy difference, you've got Chad Morris and Dabo Swinney on offense who, reports have said that they're not going to get a quarterback in the portal. Do you think there's going to be not like conflict between the offense and defense, but do you think you'll see more of a shift with the defensive side of the football in the portal rather than the offense?
Yeah, I think there will be. And I think it's out of different needs. I think defensively, that's where all your portal exits have gone. You need bodies on that side of the football. And we saw what the product looked like without real caliber talent against Penn State. It's a group that eventually just lost the tread on its tires. So I think if you're Dabo Swinney, you look at it and go, offensively, if we can retain our receivers, and he certainly has not wavered in his belief with Christopher Vizina or the other quarterbacks in the room, he feels like if the offense can just run it back with his unit, you have Christian Bentinker at tight end, you got a lot of promising offensive linemen. They're looking at one out of Georgia Southern right now that was an all-conference tackle. I do think one starting caliber tackle out of the portal would be great for Matt Luke to be able to have. But I think that both would probably acknowledge that, yeah, we need Tom Allen to make things happen in the portal defensively. That's where you've had the most struggles. It's where you've given up the most. It's where you've lost the most games is on the defensive side. And so for Allen to be able to come in and get his guys, bring in a portal haul of players, it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. And it's one of those things where it's, okay, Allen now has his group. Let's see how he operates with it.
Talking to Grayson Mann of TigerNet, I want to switch over to the hardwood basketball. Clemson on a little bit of a heater right now. What are they doing? 5-6 games in a row. They're 15 games into the season, off to a solid start. There's been some hiccups there that have not looked good for this program, but you look around the minutes that these guys are getting and the production that some of these guys are putting out there on the floor. How much faith do you have in Brad Brownell's ability and track record to continue to develop as the season goes along? I'm looking at a guy like Dylan Hunter that you want him to give you 12 to 15 points a night. Right now he's sitting like 8 or 9 points a night. Ace Buckner, you want to get him up to 10 points a night. Sort of take the pressure off the guys that you need to have big games for you to win night in and night out. How has he done in the past at taking those good players and making them better as the season goes along?
Yeah, we've already started to see Ace Buckner take that extra step against Cincinnati and South Carolina, particularly once Foster went down. It was one of those things where it's next man up. And Brownell has expressed his belief in this group's depth. And I think, Diesel, what's unique, and I'd asked him about this because Nick Davidson had rode the bench in the second half earlier in the season. It's like, well, that's Clemson's top dollar guy in the portal. Why is that? So I asked him, and he goes, I think we're going to have nights like this where we have such a deep group where sometimes it's going to be Carter Welling, who has 18, and some nights it may be Dylan Hunter, who has 18. But I think that hand is going to change, and that might be the strength of this group this year where, yeah, Dylan Hunter may not give you 12 to 15 a night. I don't personally think he has to. I think Dylan is more there to be the control, the engineer of this offense, not necessarily the one that's going to be hurling haymakers from the foul line or wherever it might be. So what's been really unique about this group is against Pittsburgh, Butta Johnson has some pretty timely shots that make things happen. Cincinnati, it's Ace Buckner down the stretch and RJ Godfrey. So it's going to be a different guy every night. Does that maybe limit your ceiling? Probably, but I don't think it'll harp them from getting to the NCAA tournament. And the last 2 wins on the road, they're starting to be comfortable in the second half. they're looking better and better, Diesel, as time goes on.
Grayson, Matt Zenitz of CBS reporting 4 minutes ago that Clemson star wide receiver TJ Moore has agreed to a new deal with the Tigers and will be remaining at Clemson. Obviously, very big news on this Monday. But let me ask you this. With that being said, if Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore are back, does that give Clemson fans in your mind this new, I don't want to say like sigh of hope or a breath of fresh air, but do you think it gives them an inspired confidence that maybe Christopher Vizzino with Chad Morris and these two guys back could possibly be good enough to get Clemson back to where they need to be?
It's going to come down to the quarterback, Cole, but I think that's an important step, is getting TJ Moore back in the building. I had been told a few weeks ago that this was a deal that was in progress and was likely to be get to the finish line, and it looks like it finally has. And I think that's a big win for Clemson, is you get that first bit of retention. TJ was a top dollar priority, and he certainly is going to be paid like one.
You say it comes down to the quarterback. I mean, in your mind, I know it's January the 5th, a lot of time between now and the trip to Baton Rouge, but if Christopher Vizzino is the guy in August, are you confident if you're a Clemson fan?
I think it's a wait and see. I think really this spring's going to tell us a lot about where this direction is. I think Chad Morris is going to have a big say on it. Still, if it were me, I would go into the portal to get a quarterback to compete, but I think Clemson's going to stay pat with their guys.
Grayson, you posted earlier today that Brad Brownell was concerned about older pros coming back to college, and man, who saw that coming down the pipe? Who had that on their bingo card? But but it's the reality, right? These players are available to you. Are you going to use them or not? Do you think Brad has it in him to be aggressive and go after them, even if he doesn't like it? Or will he take more of that traditional Dabo-esque approach of, this is not the way we want to run things around here, so we're just not going to do it at all?
Yeah, I think he had said once at the beginning of the season that, yeah, there are some things he doesn't like that's being operated in college basketball right now, but Clemson's got to do whatever it takes to win, Diesel. And so I'm not sure. It feels like there's a lot of legal complications right now with who can return, who can't. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not Harvey Specter here. So that is still to be figured out. But I think for Clemson, they're going to make every effort in Brad Brownell's mind to try to win. And if this is one of those routes, I wouldn't be shocked if he tries to knock down a few doors to see what the possibilities are.
Grayson, before we let you go, because we won't talk to you again until next week, early leans, starting with Thursday night between Miami and Ole Miss. Early lean on that game first.
I like Miami in the national championship. I think they have the best line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And you saw it. They absolutely annihilated Ohio State. And people were calling me crazy. I thought Miami was going to control that game and punish the Buckeyes. And I think they're going to do it again. Ole Miss, great story. Trinidad Chambliss is a dude. And I hope he gets an extra year to play just because I enjoy watching him in this system and this setup. But, man, I really do like Miami here. I think they're violent. They're physical. Yeah. They got the formula down to win the national championship. And they remind me a lot of Ohio State last year, who figured it out at the right time. I think they're going to be in the Natty playing back at home.
Playing who?
They're going to be playing
Indiana. Okay. Indiana. Ooh. I like it. Mendoza. Congratulations to your Patriots. And I guess next week we'll be talking about the first playoff game for New England, right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take that phone call from the airport because I'm going to Boston next weekend for the game.
No way. Wait a minute. You're going, what day is the game on?
Saturday. The game's on Sunday night.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm jealous. That's awesome. Well, Grayson.
I tell you guys, when I was looking to buy the tickets, I didn't realize that they were already on sale. So I scrambled. Me and my buddy are going. I was shaking buying those tickets. This is a big deal for me. First playoff game. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's pretty big, man. Should be a lot of fun. You're the best. Always appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.
Absolutely. Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. I don't know why. I had a brain fart there. I was thinking New England got the number 1 seed and wasn't playing until next week, but New England host Madcraft's Chargers.
God, everything is coming up Madcraft.
Everything.
Right now. I don't want to live in a world where everything is coming up Madcraft.
Everything.
Madcraft's got a third team. Isn't he He's a Braves fan.
He's a Braves fan.
I mean, I guess we could take a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Can we get a little bit of that? Can we get the Braves back? I mean, it's no fun talking about a team that sucks.
I don't know that you're going to get that. I don't know. Keep dreaming, I would tell you, I guess, on that. We've got to get to the top headlines in sports. Our Daily Wires next.
on the Fan Upstate.
Diesel, a lot going on in the sports world, and it's a day that Dewey loves because a lot of people being fired today. It's our Daily Wires. And that starts with the Atlanta Falcons, who fired Coach Raheem Morris and General Manager Terry Fontenot on Sunday night after two straight disappointing seasons. Their exits came hours after Atlanta wrapped up an 8-9 campaign with a 19-17 home win over the Saints. And Diesel, you remember it was the owner and the GM, 2 years ago when they were having a little bit of riff-raff when they drafted Michael Penix Jr. So I don't know what's to come there, but that's very interesting.
It's tough when your quarterback of the future goes down and misses most of the season, and your only backup is a guy that you gave an enormous contract to, who also happens to be older than the owner himself.
That's true. Former Iowa State quarterback Rocco Beck committed to Penn State. He told ESPN in a phone interview on Sunday. So Diesel, he will spend his final college season playing for his former coach, Matt Campbell, who is now at Penn State. So
do you think he's going to get his degree from Penn State?
That's a good question.
How many credits actually transfer when you transfer that many times?
That's a good credits. What's a credit?
Yeah.
Beck, by the way, will bring 26 career wins as a starter to Penn State, the most of any returning quarterback in college football in 2026. So there we go. Strike up the hype band for Penn State again in 2026. The Indianapolis Colts, Diesel, lost their final 7 games to complete a historic collapse after an 8-2 start, but the team's ownership has decided not to make significant changes, with the Colts announcing less than 3 hours after a season-ending loss to the Texans that general manager Chris Ballard and coach Shane Steichen will return for the 2026 season. How about Myles Garrett yesterday? Big day for him, getting sack number 23 to set the NFL single-season record. That's pretty impressive. I remember when I got my 23rd sack, Diesel. We all do, right? In the NFL.
It's easy when they increase the number of games you play every year.
You sound like Michael Strahan all of a sudden.
Exactly.
The Las Vegas Raiders have clinched the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. And now, Fernando Mendoza, congratulations, bud. You're probably going to Vegas.
That nerd in Vegas, they're going to eat him alive.
Oh, they are. They are really.
God. But could you imagine Diego Pavia in Vegas?
That'd be bad. Real bad. Chad Morris, who served as Clemson's offensive coordinator at the start of the program's rise under Dabo Swinney, is returning to the Tigers as their new OC in 2026. And we all know, we talked about it with Grayson Mann. We'll talk more about it in the 5 o'clock hour, but a very familiar face there. Panthers have made their way into the playoffs as they are NFC South champions, Diesel. This marks the first time the Panthers have won the division since 2015. I believe the 6th time they've won the division, but it comes after a Falcons win over the Saints, and you no longer have plans on Saturday because your Panthers play again for the 2nd Saturday in a row this weekend.
Can you believe that 3 teams in the NFC South all finished with 8-9 records?
That's wild.
Unbelievable.
That's wild.
And all 4 finished 3-3 in division.
Yeah, not good. North Texas wide receiver Wyatt Young committed to Oklahoma State. A source told ESPN on Sunday the Cleveland Browns have fired head coach Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski was 45-56 in 6 seasons in Cleveland. Trinidad Chambliss announced that he will return to Ole Miss if the NCAA approves his pending waiver for a 6th season of eligibility. The FCS National Championship game is tonight, Diesel, 7:30 between Illinois State and Montana State. Montana State, a heavy favorite in the championship, 10 points.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No big NIL budgets here, no mass transfers, just the purity of football. Don't tell me you love football and say, well, I didn't watch the FCS National Championship.
Well, I think it actually is scheduled perfectly, because there's no Monday Night Football tonight.
Right.
So I think it's perfect. You're forced to watch it. I love it.
It's the only thing.
It's the only football on TV tonight. 2 more firings. The Las Vegas Raiders have fired head coach Pete Carroll, and the Cardinals have fired head coach Jonathan Gannon. And the Arizona Cardinals closed the season with 9 straight losses. A bad season for them.
Yowza.
Also, a new winter-spring season-ish weekly guest rotation that we're starting today. Grayson Mann staying on with us, though, at 4:22 on Mondays. Rocco Miller, Diesel. We love Rocco. We had him on several times last year. Big-time college hoops analyst coming on Tuesdays at 4:22. We will be joined by Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News on Wednesdays at 4:22 to talk Lady Gamecocks and Shane Beamer's football squad. John Whittle of the Big Spur Thursdays at 4:22. Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, temporarily Wednesdays at 5:22, a once-a-week NBA segment, because I know it doesn't move the meter a lot, but a few Tolos out there do like the association. So little mix-up for you, Tolos.
You want us to talk about it, call in and talk about it more often. That's proof to us that this is something you care about. When we come back, it is time to hear from you, Tolos. I want you to get out your phones and call 844-326-3663. It is time for Overreaction Monday. Dewey is all over Madcraft in the comments section. Nothing has changed. 2025 bleeding its way right into 2026. Welcome into the show.
He's kind of kicking his butt too.
Wow.
Dewey's kind of putting it on Madcraft.
Well, it's like a
name?
fire hose, right? You just open up that fire hose. There's far too much volume.
Yeah.
Because Dewey is just bam, 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 bam. He's like running full auto. Madcraft is just like standing back there taking shots.
I do think Madcraft's on like a delay. Like it takes Madcraft sometimes 15 minutes to get back to you. I don't know if like the delay is like on the computer or he's busy. I guess he's a busy guy, right? But sometimes like 20 minutes from now, he'll respond back and fuss at me for saying this, what I'm saying right now.
And then it'll feel out of context by that point.
It's literally this. You're exactly right.
Well, you can't be taken out of context when you call the show live. We know exactly what you're saying right here, right now. 844-326-3663, 844-FAN phone. You could also text in on the Joy Law Firm text line, but we really want you to call. It's your opportunity to overreact. And not only to something you saw this weekend, we hadn't been together, all of us in a room in a long time. So call in and talk about whatever you want to talk about on this Tolo takeover. Excuse me, on this Overreaction Monday.
It's all the same. It's all the same. I've got a good one I'll get to. It happened late last night if you stayed up and watched the Steelers-Ravens game. I am not Catholic. I want to be very clear. But my overreaction is maybe we need to respect the Catholics a little bit more. Did you see, Diesel, what happened?
Uh-huh.
And the audio, I'm pulling up the audio right now. I don't know if you Tolos out there saw this or not. So to set it up, last night the kicker for Baltimore missed a pretty kind of a chip shot to win the game.
Yep.
They go to the end of the game, they go to postgame, and then they come back to postgame, and Diesel, they show a Catholic priest, and Mike Tirico did a fantastic job like narrating this. It was really, really good. I've got the audio, but they show a Catholic priest who before the game in the same end zone with his, I guess, holy water. I guess that's what it is. He's sprinkling it, in the end zone. And the best part is like the Pittsburgh people, a lot of Catholics up there, they don't care. It's normal for a Catholic priest to come down into Pittsburgh and sprinkle the holy water in the end zone. And then what happens? Game winner. That game is signed, sealed, and delivered. That rookie kicker, I feel so bad for him.
It's called an aspergillum.
Thank you.
That's what that little thing is. It looks like
I was going to say a bottle.
It looks like a baby rattler, and it's got holes in it. You just shake it,
and water comes out.
Yeah, holy water comes out.
So what's wild is it was literally the same end zone. Look, it's overreaction Monday. I'm overreacting on purpose. It's wild that happened. I don't, normally buy stock into holy water affecting a football game.
Yeah.
But that last night, hearing Mike Tirico talk about it post-game was pretty nuts. It really was.
Who do you think? Can we get a Baptist minister to come and do that? Something like that for the Panthers?
Yeah, we need it bad, don't we? We really do.
All the help we can
Where's
get.
Billy Graham Jr. at when we need him, right? He lives in Charlotte. That's a good idea.
He's there.
All right, Buckeye Mike, I have a feeling Diesel is going to have some beef with me. I don't know if that's true, but Buckeye Mike's up first on Overreaction Monday. What's up, Mike?
Good afternoon, fellas. I hope you guys had a great holiday season.
You too, man.
Sure did.
That's good. Hey, first off, Madcraft, Miami, congratulations. You guys did a great job. It's exactly what I expected with Mr. Bain out there.
That's good.
I'm just tired of the narrative that for some reason we got blown out, that Miami ran over us, that we lost to Indiana. We lost by 3 points to Indiana, fellas. We were on a roll in the second half against Miami, and they scored with under 2 minutes left in the game because they wanted it more. Once again, congratulations to them. But we didn't play that bad in either game. We had a chance to win both of them.
Well, how come you guys didn't want it more?
But, hey, like I said, there are no excuses. Congratulations to Miami and them. They went down and took the ball and went down the field and scored.
Mike, do you, all kidding aside, we'll go at each other in a second. Do you put any stock into the offense kind of being meh because of Ryan Day play calling? I mean, the offense wasn't good last week.
No, I kind of like the the adjustments that we made at halftime with Chip and Bain and doing some stuff on the offensive line. So I don't put any stock in that.
Okay.
I put it into Miami wanted it more, to be quite honest with you. Look, it's hard to repeat, fellas. We won last year. We beat Michigan this year. I feel good. You know what?
No, I'm with you.
To be
Yeah.
quite honest with you, I'm pretty happy with the Final Four that we have. It's not Georgia. It's not Bama. It's not us.
It's new. It's
new.
new.
You're
Yeah.
right. I mean, and for Miami, you know, I mean, we kind of put them to sleep for 23 years. So once again, Matt, congratulations for you guys coming back and being relevant again. I'm glad we could do that for you.
Oh,
You're right.
Mike.
You're right.
Mike's like, I'm going to be nice.
Yep.
I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. And then body blow, I'm going to send you to the mat.
But Mike, I
got to give one little jab.
You
at
do.
him. I mean, he beat us.
You do, but I will also say, just as I said earlier in the show, Mike, I understand you're happy you won the Natty last year. I get it, but Ohio State was not tested during the season. Indiana, Miami, back-to-back losses. That was the first time you guys played anybody with a pulse.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, Texas was 10-3, Illinois 9-4, Washington 9-4, Minnesota.
Oh my God, who'd they beat? Who'd Washington beat?
And all of those teams, I think Illinois, I believe they beat Tennessee
in a meaningless bowl game, right?
That means coaching was better, right? And that our depth's better.
No,
which
it doesn't.
One is it? The SEC tells us all the time their third and fourth string can beat anybody.
No,
that's what they tell us.
These bowl games are meaningless, Mike. The bowl games,
it
doesn't mean anything.
Seriously.
The bowl games don't mean anything. They're meaningless
Only when
bowl
the
games.
SEC loses, it doesn't mean anything. When they win, they let us know how good they are. Am I not right?
Yeah, but how does it feel losing to the lowly ACC, a team that shouldn't even be there if you ask Notre Dame fans?
Well, no, the team that shouldn't have been there was Alabama, obviously, because once again, we lost to Indiana by 3. I believe Indiana beat Alabama 38-3.
They did.
Isn't that what that score was?
My whole thing is, Mike. Listen.
Look. 4-9 is the SEC. 2 of those 4 wins are against the other SEC opponents.
Can I ask you something, though? And I asked this question on social media this weekend. Why do you care? Not just you. Why do fans care about the conference? Why do you care about the conference?
The SEC has made us care. We're tired of the SEC chant. SEC. We're tired of it. They're the ones that make us care about it. And when they're losing, it's freaking great. Old Miss is going to get their butt beat by Miami also. It's going to be 3 years in a row that the SEC will not make the championship game or win a championship.
So would you rather see the Big Ten Indiana win the national championship, or do you want to see anybody not in your conference win it?
I would rather see Indiana or Oregon win it, but if Miami wins it and it's not the SEC, I'm happy about that too.
So when are you going to start chanting B10, B10, B10?
We don't need to. We just beat them.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you.
Have a good day.
You too. Call more often.
Let's go.
God, that was good.
Cole, he's got big shoes to fill. Normally, Dewey jumps in first,
and
people have to follow Dewey. Now Dewey has to follow Buckeye Mike. Dewey, what do you got?
Well, first of all, I got to comment on the playoffs. They suck. Overall, it was all predictable.
No, it wasn't.
It was anything but.
Play nobody. My Ohio State sucks. Ryan Day sucks. He's a little pipsqueak, and he needs to be fired. I'm tired of him. Miami, you did the deed. You beat a pretend team. Now you're going to get Ole Miss and Carson Beck. He's going down because he's a clown, a little transfer portal, little wannabe NIL boy. Well, he's going to earn his money come whenever they play again, probably 6 weeks from now, because that's the problem with the playoffs. They start like 8 weeks after the regular season, and then we wonder why we get a crap, bad word product on the field.
Wow.
So I don't say bad words because then I have to go to church. But then we all wonder why the quality of play sucks when we get these 10-5 games and low-scoring nothing games. And you got James Madison, Tulane that embarrasses the crap out of themselves just so they can win $1 million. It's just ridiculous. College football just sucks in general.
God.
But and as for Madcraft, your team is going down. You picked a fight with the wrong Dewey. I'm telling you.
Whoa.
Don't mess with Dewey. A long line of Deweys. And as far as the Carolina Panthers are concerned, they're winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. That's
magical run.
Yeah, that's bold.
They're going to upset the Rams, and then they're going to no, they're not.
Well, they beat them.
Don't forget that it took 3 turnovers by Matt Stafford for the Panthers to beat the Rams.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it took that and some luck, but it ain't happening. This will be the first playoff appearance. It'll be their last playoff appearance. Well, probably not because the NFC South sucks. So they'll be getting worse 7 and 10 and
it's
go
all over the place today,
next
Eddie.
year.
What about my Cowboys, Dewey? What are your comments on my Cowboys?
No, they suck too.
Yeah, they do. You're right. I can't.
Buckeye Mike just texted in and said, "You're fired, Dewey."
Everyone's fired, especially Madcraft.
Thanks, Dewey. Isn't it amazing how anytime a team loses in the playoffs, they're just frauds?
Yeah.
Everybody's a fraud until there's one non-fraud left.
There's only one non-fraud.
There's
right?
one non-fraud. Yeah.
One non-fraud.
Let's go.
By the way, real quick, John Dog said, Cole, that was a 40-yard field goal last night. That kicker missed. I've got audio from that too. Field goal, not a chip shot. I don't know, John Dog. I might argue in the NFL, 40 yards is a chip shot nowadays.
I mean, they're regularly making it from 50 plus.
Easy.
So
I mean, it's 40-yarder. You got to make that.
My overreaction, Cole, and we'll get to Dan B here in just a second. My overreaction is that the 6 conference commissioners in the group of 6 should get together and class action sue ESPN into oblivion for slander. They should sue every writer for libel who systematically, Cole, because it was everywhere for about 2 weeks, everywhere that the G5 didn't belong in the playoff, and they all just came out of the woodworks. It felt like a conspiracy and concerted effort, so they need to get together, and they need to sue Dave Portnoy. They need to sue everybody they possibly can and get some money out of this situation, Cole, because the power conference teams didn't look very good either.
Now you sound like Dewey.
A&M were frauds in this thing. Alabama were frauds in this thing. Texas Tech were frauds in this thing. At least JMU put up some damn points on Oregon.
Well, here's the reality of it, and you brought this up probably a year or so ago. You and I had this conversation on the show. I remember us talking about it. I think the college football playoff has been good for entertainment purposes, but I think it's ruined, number one, bowl season. I think number 2, Diesel, most of all, the college football playoff has ruined what you just said. You hit the nail on the head. If you don't win at all, you're a fraud. I think the college football playoff has taught us, has conditioned us as college football fans to believe that if you're not that only team standing at the end of the year, you are a fraud. You're no good. It's championship or bust, right? I remember before the college football playoff, and I've brought this example up on the show before, but Clemson, that win they had over LSU, Diesel, in Atlanta, over a stacked LSU team with Taj Boyd, and so many other bowl games in the past where you could not convince that fan base and that coaching staff that was a meaningless bowl game. I think the college football playoff, for as great as it is, has caused what you just said.
Well, we've had a societal shift also where everything sucks. We just go online to bash everything. Part of it, Cole, has to start with us. I'm talking about you and me, but I'm talking about all the Tolos as well who keep saying words like meaningless bowl games. You have to put meaning on it yourself. If you decide that it's meaningless, then it's meaningless to you. But if you want bowl games to have meaning, then you have to feel it in your heart that this game has meaning. So I'm going to watch it with intent.
I've got one overreaction, one more. I'm going to get to it after Dan B, though. Dan B.
Phones. Dan, what's up?
Hey, guys.
What's up, man?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
To you as well.
Yeah, no, I'll start off this. I got about 3 things. I'll try to make it quick. Condolences to Denny Hamlin's father.
Yeah, that's awful.
Condolences to the families. It's another heavy hit over the holiday break.
Been a tough couple weeks for NASCAR, hasn't it?
Yeah, with Greg Biffle was a few weeks prior to that. So, but also to advocate for NASCAR, let's get that Jordan Bianchi back on once a week.
What was it? Hey, real quick, was it a house fire, Dan? Denny's?
Yeah, house fire. I don't know anything more than that.
That's awful.
I don't know what caused it or
that's so
what
bad.
started that for.
Yeah. Well, hate to hear that.
Second thing, should I bring up anything with regard to the challenge?
We haven't revealed the final rankings yet.
Right. I wasn't going to throw specific things. I was going to throw a couple stats out.
Okay. Go ahead with that.
So we had two guys that finished in the top 25 last year and this year, and that's John Dog and Percy.
Wow. That's elite right there.
Yeah.
John Dog and Percy. Shout out to you two.
Yeah. The highest streak at the end of the season was Gert from Greer. He ended with 3. And then the other 2 that had 2 in a row would be Buckeye Mike and Matt Kraft.
God, of course. God! We just, it's every second.
Everything's coming up, Matt Kraft.
Oh. So, you know what's so bad about these Christmas bowls, Dan Diesel? I have forgotten who I even picked,
Yeah, it's a long time. I picked games early in the each bracket, in each section, because I didn't want to wait 2 or 3 weeks. But I think next year, we're toying with the idea, and I like this idea of doubling or tripling point totals for bowl season.
RJ brought that up.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
And I'd say double, but let's not go triple. I mean, that's just getting out of hand. But
what about
or double's a good number.
What we posting them when? Do we know?
We could do it tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Let's do it tomorrow
on the air.
Yep.
And I think you and I might have both finished. We'll see. We might have finished on the board.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We might have finished on points.
We'll see.
All right, yeah. So we'll get back to more of that tomorrow. The last thing I had to say, I did say it in the stream, but I think they should change the rule. If you're 8 and 9 as a division winner, you should just be a number 7 seed. You got to be 9 or 8 or better to win the division and get the 4 seed.
Oh, you're saying swap the automatic home playoff game for the final or for the lowest seed.
Yes.
I don't hate that. But then again, man, like Dan, I don't know. An 8-win team in the NFL, again, my opinion, I don't think there's a huge gap between an 8-win team in the NFL and a 12-win team. I just don't.
I find that hard to believe because if you put every 13 and, what is it, 13 and 4 and 12 and 5, put all those teams up against that same 8 and 9 team, they're going to win 9 out of 10 times.
Maybe.
If not more.
But look how crazy the NFL's been this year, man. Like, this is the craziest NFL season I can ever remember.
But can we not just have a sport?
Seattle and Denver as the number 1 seeds going into the playoffs.
Right.
Can we not just have a sport, though, where the rules are the rules and it falls the way it falls, and we're not trying to tweak everything
bad radio.
to fix we got to fix this, we got to change that.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a tweet. This was not mine. I retweeted this a couple of days ago. I'm trying to find it. And it says, isn't it fascinating that college football has adopted all of the worst elements of every major sport in the past couple of years? Like, why do we want to take something that was that we did great in the NFL, which is if you do what you're asked to do, you're in the playoffs. And then we said, nope, we want to change that. We want to move the goalpost on that. And then we want to bring that moved goalpost from college football, which everybody hates, by the way. Let's go ahead and bring that back to the NFL so we can change the rules over there.
Yeah, it is. You're right. You're right. It's trickling is what you're saying. It's trickling from college football. And that goes back to my point I made in the first hour of the show. That's why I love the NFL. It's about football. It's about X's and O's and not, well, this 18th best team didn't get in. Well, the Tennessee Titans, they should have got in because they scored 9 touchdowns this year, right?
Here it is. I found it. This came from Michael Calabrese. He said, isn't it amazing that we've adopted the worst elements of every major sport? In Major League Baseball, we've adopted payroll disparity in college football. From the NHL, they've adopted irrelevant regular season. In the NBA, they've adopted players sitting out. In the NFL, they've adopted awful officiating. In European soccer, they've adopted smaller outfits becoming farm systems for bigger programs. The worst elements of all these major sports have collided in college football.
They have. Dan, thanks for the call, man.
Yep. See you guys.
Real quick, Diesel, I want to get to this audio. This is my last overreaction on this Overreaction Monday before we get into this Chad Morris conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's a lot to be said, and I did not like the comments from Cam Newton this morning on First Take about Tyler Loop, the kicker who missed the field goal last night. He said, talking about the 8-win Ravens, whatever they are. He said basically in summary that you're only as good, talking about Lamar Jackson, Diesel, you're only as good as your kicker. And I'm thinking, man, this guy, that's just not fair. That is not fair. If this game, in my opinion, has to come down to a kick, that means your team did not do enough during the game to separate themselves and win the game.
Yeah.
My overreaction is I think sports fans and gambling has a lot to do with this as well, Diesel, but sometimes we just don't realize what these players have to face after mistakes. What am I saying? What am I getting to? Tyler Loop misses this 40-yard field goal last night, right? 40, 44 yards, whatever it was. The worst moment probably of his life. Let's say top 2, top 3. I don't know what's happened in his life, obviously. And within 10 to 15 minutes, he has to walk into a room where his team did not make the postseason, not only face his players and the coaches, but he has to walk into a room where there's 40 microphones, and he's asked questions like this.
The last kick and what went wrong?
Just before that, just want to say I'm super grateful to Baltimore and the organization, the city, just how they've embraced me this year has been incredible. And just for a time like that sucks. And, I want to do better. And unfortunately, the nature of the job is, you have makes, and those are awesome. And then unfortunately, you have misses. And for that, that to happen tonight sucks. We've been through a lot of adversity this year as a team early on, and we fought, and we worked really hard together. And, those guys have had my back, and, I want to try my best to have theirs.
So you have a team, what I'm getting at, Diesel, you have a team that consists of Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, a Harbaugh on the sideline, and you win 8 games. Mm-hmm. But we're going to kill this kicker.
Yeah, it all comes down to him. It's not the other games that you lost.
Oh, my God.
Those aren't the reason why you didn't make the playoffs. It's all on a quick motion. You got to line up. You got to kick a 40-yard field goal in a high-pressure situation.
That stuff, man.
Yeah,
it
burns
burns
right.
It burns my grits.
And the media, whoever asked that question, is certainly responsible for asking a bad question. I don't even know if it's the same reporter here, Cole, but this is from the same press conference. This is Lamar Jackson being asked a really stupid question at this point after having just been eliminated from the playoffs.
Do you want to see John remain the coach for next year?
That's you asking me about next year, Jameson. I'm so caught up in what just happened tonight. I can't focus on that right now. I just told you, he asked me, "Are you stunned?" I'm stunned right now. I'm still trying to process what's going on. I know we lost, but that's
Hey, you just lost. Do you want to see your coach get fired?
Yeah.
What are we doing with these press conference questions?
It's crazy, man. And I stand by this. NFL and the NBA, MLB too, but professional sports, the reporters, you talk about those big markets like the New York Cities, the LAs, the Dallases of the world, you're getting grilled with questions. And the Ravens last night, and I know they had injuries, Diesel, and they weren't healthy all year, but this is the 3rd year now of Derrick Henry. Lamar's been in the league. He's a 2-time MVP. They hadn't got over the hump. So Cam Newton sitting up there this morning talking about, well, you're only as good as your kicker. Well, what has Lamar Jackson done other than winning the MVPs, which I know, Cam, you'd rather have than a Super Bowl? What has he done to help his team get over the hump and win a Super Bowl? That's not talked about. And Derrick Henry, you have Derrick Henry. It's frustrating, man.
If only Cam Newton valued fumble recoveries as much as he values MVP trophies, maybe he would have an NFL trophy.
That's true. It's just sad to see. It really is. I mean, the guy missed a field goal, 40, 44 yards, whatever it was. People miss field goals. It happens. And, players drop passes in the end zone. Quarterbacks throw interceptions.
Yeah.
But because of the by the way, last night's game, the fourth quarter was just ridiculous. In the back and forth. You got to give credit to Pittsburgh, but man, it's tough. A tough way to go out for sure. Diesel, let's get into this Chad Morris conversation. We briefly touched on it with Grayson Mann. Let's get your thoughts, my thoughts on it, see what the Tolos have to say. Clemson fans, we want to hear from you. Chad Morris is your new OC. How do you feel about it? We'll get into it next. Well, bringing Chad Morris back to Clemson seems to be the approach for Dabo Swinney. Diesel, a lot of reaction to get to on social media, on our page at the Fan Upstate on Facebook. You can get in on the Joy Law Firm text line at 844-326-3663 if you are a Clemson fan. I want to hear from you. Phone lines also still open as well. For the 156 Tolos watching the show live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, you can comment there as well. Shout out to those watching on YouTube, Facebook, and X, now up to 157. But Diesel, Chad Morris, a very familiar name coming back to Clemson. We talked a little bit about it with Grayson Mann. We started hearing rumblings of Chad Morris's name last week, when you were out, and we said, oh, maybe Chad Morris, right? There never seemed to be a leader in the clubhouse. And Friday night, I was at a restaurant locally here in Spartanburg and saw a couple of friends of mine, and they were asking me about, the OC hire. And I told them Friday night, I said, it's going to be Chad Morris. And, I was very confident in that. And the reason is, number one, it's Dabo, right? You saw Dabo bring Chad Morris in for a week during the Florida State preparation game week. And number two, last week, Diesel, there never seemed to be a leading candidate. Right? There never seemed to be an offensive coordinator from somewhere else that was the leader in the clubhouse. I felt like it was going to be Chad Morris. Now Clemson fans reacting. When you saw the news, just your instant knee-jerk reaction, positive, negative, somewhere in between where you stand on Clemson bringing Chad Morris back.
I rolled my eyes. I said, of course, Dabo is going to go back to the well and bring somebody that he's familiar with. Of course, the quote from him was, I didn't trust my instincts enough. Dabo, all you've ever done is trust your instincts. And, for the longest time it worked. Or some people could say you got lucky. We went on a heater. You identified good talent multiple times in a row. And then slowly but surely you started trusting your instincts a little too much.
Well, I just think on the whole instincts thing, and Grayson Mann brought that up, I think that Dabo's instincts didn't change as college football changed, right? You have to change your instincts depending on the situation that you're in life, right? Every room you walk in, you're going to have different instincts, Diesel. And Dabo Swinney and Clemson walked into a new room, and his instincts really didn't change. So his first stint at Clemson, right? The 2 years prior to Morris's arrival, Clemson was 15-12, including a record of 6-7 in 2010. In comes Chad Morris. Hurry up-tempo, spread offense that we all know helped Clemson go on, 42-11 mark over the next 4 seasons. In December of 2011, Morris became tied with Gus Malzahn as the highest-paid assistant in college football after Clemson gave him that 6-year contract, right? He was making $1.3 annually. In December of 2012, Morris interviewed for the Texas Tech head coaching job, which Tommy Tuberville had just left, right, for Cincinnati. The job was Cliff Kingsbury, and Chad Morris didn't get it. So Chad Morris goes to SMU, wasn't good there at Southern Methodist, 2014. 2 years, not a lot of consistency. They were 14-22, right, in those 3 seasons, excuse me. Then he goes to Arkansas, Diesel. 2017, he's the head coach, 6-year, $21 million contract. First year, they were 2-10. Arkansas never worked. 2-8 in 2019. They lost to Western Kentucky. You remember 45-19. Didn't last long there. Went to Auburn. He was the OC, quarterbacks coach. Now he spends time out of football, kind of taking a little bit of break from the game, if you will. Coming back to Clemson. So here's where I am on it. You said you rolled your eyes. Mm-hmm. I think I probably rolled mine too. I don't think I hate it as much as I thought initially I would.
Yeah.
I think here's the reality. Chad Morris knows offense, right? He brought Clemson's offense to historic marks. Yes, he has to have the talent. And I don't think he's going to have a Sammy Watkins and Nuke Hopkins and Taj Boyd anytime soon. But Chad Morris understands football, winning football, complementary football, how to get the guys, the best players to football. And Diesel, I think that is what Clemson has struggled with. So I'm on a teeter-totter. I'm with you. I kind of rolled my eyes at first, but I think Dabo could have done worse is where I'm settling.
Yeah, I mean, look, we haven't had an opportunity to talk to Chad Morris on this show. I've never had a chance to talk to him ever. I don't know what his philosophies are when it comes to modernizing his approaches. And I don't know how much of an offensive coordinator is involved in any way, shape, or form of offering players deals and this NIL era. He's going to have to do more with less. And you look back at his stint there at Clemson the first time, he did more with more. Like he had dudes all over that roster for the 4 years that he was there. But I also look, Cole, at the old idiom of the second stint, coaches that take a second ride around. And I don't know. I mean, could his spread concepts work at Clemson? Yeah, of course they can. But so much has to happen. So much has to come in alignment for things for you to find success, especially at the level that he did. He was involved with 43 wins in 4 years. I mean,
pretty good.
A lot of things came into alignment at that time.
Timing was big.
Not the only thing, right? The defense is a big part of it. Special teams is a big part of it. Dabo Swinney was a big part of it. All of it. So,
they were entering the golden era.
Right.
I mean, there's no doubt. Timing is important.
So, but you look at, you can't say that the history of like Mac Brown at North Carolina is an indicator that Chad Morris will or will not be successful. But how many times have we seen coaches come back for a second time and it's just not the same?
No,
and it's not.
Yeah,
the magic was not there the second time around.
No, it could happen. Look, here's where I am. It could end badly. I think it could. If this goes awry, Diesel, if this ends badly, this could be a dark path that Dabo has to go down, and firing one of his closest, ever, and the OG and Chad Morris. However, I think here's where it's interesting. Clemson fans, I've seen mixed reviews on internet, Twitter, whatever, message boards. A lot of Clemson fans are excited because, like me, you grew up watching Chad Morris light it up, so that excites you. But I think on the flip side, what concerns Clemson fans is Diesel at SMU in Arkansas. He was bad. It wasn't like middle of the road. He was bad. So I think that's a fair concern. Chad Morris was not good outside of Clemson. So having a little bit of skepticism, I think, is totally fair. Here's the thing about it. Here's what I don't know that I like. Chad Morris, I would imagine, and tell me if you disagree with this, when he came into Clemson the first time, I would imagine before NIL and before the portal that Chad Morris, and I'd like to ask Dabo this, or one of them, I'd like to imagine in 2011, Chad Morris probably had some say in terms of the talent that he wanted to bring into Clemson, right? In his success, I would imagine, Diesel, that he was able to have input on who he brought in. Now he's coming in with Christopher Vazina as the quarterback. Now, if Bryant Wesco Jr. and TJ Moore come back, that's huge. Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore aren't Nuke and Sammy, but they're good receivers, right? So I think you said it with timing. Timing and situation's critical because the situation he's walking into now, he's really not having any say in this 2000, maybe a couple of portal guys.
Yeah.
But the 2026 offense, you heard Grayson Mann say it. They're going to run it back. They're going to add a few pieces. Offensive line, right? Maybe a run it. They're going to be trotting out a lot of the same familiar faces on offense. Chad Morris didn't pick those players. How does that happen? How does that mesh, gel? I think that's a big part of it. So I think the skepticism is fair.
Well, I think there's more reasons to be optimistic than to be pessimistic because he's had a lot of success at Clemson. He knows the culture. He understands. Obviously, there's going to be alignment there between Dabo and Chad. It's not going to be a little bit of that culture shock like Dabo had with Garrett Riley. So it seems as if, like I always say, synergy is so important. He's going to have synergy with Dabo, and he's not like he's not coming off of a career where he was amazing in a couple of other places.
Yeah.
And so he's not going to come in with a bunch of ego and say, hey, here's how I think we should do things. I do hope that he's going to be willing to push Dabo and challenge Dabo on some of Dabo's preconceived, mannerisms.
Well, I think Dabo Swinney needs a guy, and I don't know that Garrett Riley, for whatever reason, fit this bill in its entirety, Diesel. I think Dabo needed a guy that he could do this. I don't have my keys with me, but just here, toss the keys. You take them, go. I think Dabo needed a guy that he could just toss the keys to. And I'm not saying Dabo didn't coach pre-NIL and portal, but I'm just saying like Chad Morris is an offensive coach. There's a difference between an offensive coach that commands the offense and commands the team than a play caller. There really is. And I think he needed a guy that he could bring in and just throw the keys to and say, hey, you scored points when you were here. I need you to score points now. Pretty, simply put. Hand him the keys.
Can you?
Why do I?
This is an impossible question to answer, so it's more of a facetious question. But how do you get inside the mind of an 18-year-old high school recruit or a guy that's 20 years old and he's ready to be a mercenary somewhere? How do you determine whether or not those guys are going to be impressed with the Chad Morris hire?
Well,
especially when he had a couple of years of failure as a head coach. If it's going to come down to Clemson or Florida State as your transfer destination, and you just brought in Chad Morris, well, guess what? Florida State's going to say, yeah, but he sucked at SMU.
Yeah.
He sucked at Arkansas. He was good at Clemson. That was 15 years ago.
Real quick, before we run to a break, let's go to the phone lines. Chris wants to weigh in on the subject. What's up, Chris?
Hey, guys. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Hope you are.
Good. Yeah, just a long-time Tiger fan here in the Upstate. A couple things on what you were saying about Chad Morris, and I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I mean, it's been so long since he's been here, but as far as him being so much worse at his next couple of stops, I think a lot of that can probably be attributed to the fact that he went from being an OC to a head coach. That's night and day.
That's a good point.
That's night and day.
Yeah.
On that part, and also as far as not having a say on the players coming in, I'm pretty sure his first year coming in last time, coming into it, he didn't have a say on those players.
Well, no, not the first year he wouldn't have. You're right. The first year he would have, he'd have had who he had on the roster, and I can't remember who all was on the roster that first year, but no, you're right on that.
Right, and I can't really for sure remember either, but I mean, I think going forward, he will get to take a look at, the guys that they're looking at in the portal and in high school. And I'm sure, especially with the relationship that him and Dabo have, I feel like, there'll be some conversations about the guys that they're evaluating and everything. So I think that part of it will kind of work itself out too. It's just a matter of whether we're going to be able to get the talent. That's the part you were talking about there at the end. Are we going to be able to get those guys when it's a decision between us and what we've got and places like Florida State and, God forbid, Miami or whatever, it could be rough in that respect. But I think I'm like you. I think we could have done worse.
Could have done worse. Hey, Chris, very much appreciate the phone call. Good call, and please call more.
Okay,
thanks, man.
Y'all have a good night.
You too.
Yep.
Good stuff there. Yeah. I like it. I think that's where most Clemson fans are, Diesel, to kind of to settle this conversation. I think they're split. They're not like ecstatic, but I think like Chris, a lot of them are like, we could have done worse. So we'll see.
Yep. Cole, the bowl season is over. Yeah, we still got a couple of college football playoff games to go. We got a little time before we have NFL playoffs. Feels like we're in a little bit of a hole right now when it comes to live sports. So I'm going to give you a recommendation on a show that I think you would love, and I'm going to bring it back to sports. We're going to talk about this next.
844-866-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Cole, I can't tell you when the last time was that I binge watched an entire season of a show in less than 48 hours. I did that.
That's tight.
I did that starting, what's today? Today's Monday, starting Friday night. I started binging the new show on Apple TV called Pluribus. And if you haven't watched it yet,
I hadn't heard of it.
It's Vince Gilligan, the same guy that made Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It stars Rhea Seehorn, who was in Better Call Saul as Kim Wexler, the attorney. And it, to me, Cole, this is one of those shows that begs the question, what would you do in a situation where a mysterious signal comes from outer space and in very short order, the entire world becomes sort of brainwashed in this hive mind worker bee mentality? You're one of 13 real live people left on the planet. How would you treat life if everyone else was there to agree with you and give you everything you ever wanted?
See, I don't know if I would like that.
Why?
It just it just sounds kind of almost too much or too close to science fiction for me.
Well, it is kind of science fiction.
Yeah,
it's a signal gets beamed in from outer space.
That's true.
And in one of the scenes,
I can't stand
as she's trying to unravel the mystery, one of the other living people is like, yeah, I was hanging out with John Cena the other day, and he was telling me that this is how their hive mentality thing works, right? He's just, you can call a number on your phone, and they will give you or bring you anything you want at any time, almost instantaneously. So imagine being able to pick up your phone and say, hey, I want Sydney Sweeney in the studio right now. Or I want Luke Combs, the country star, in this studio right now. And within like 5 minutes, he's here. Like, if you could do that with an athlete, who would it be?
With any athlete?
Any athlete.
Oh God. I'd probably go. I've got a couple options here. I'd probably go Tony Romo because Tony was my quarterback growing up. He was the quarterback that I had the highs and the lows with, and I had a love for Tony Romo that I don't know that I've had for any other. I mean, I obviously love LeBron on the court. I don't know. I guess I would lean Romo there.
Yeah.
Because he was my guy.
Dan B already answering the question. He goes, man, that would be awesome. Each one of you gets to run one area of the world. So Dan B automatically going power. I want power. I want to run 1/13 of the globe.
Yeah, I googled
it. So it's like, what would you try to do? Would you try to reverse whatever it caused all of this? Would you revel in it and party like one of the characters does? He's partying. He's getting all these beautiful women to sleep with him because that's their job is to agree with you and do whatever you want them to do, as long as it's not violent and
see, that's my biggest
murderous
thing. I don't like shows like science fiction stuff that doesn't feel real to me. I've got to have something that like I can convince myself that is actually happening.
You're purely a nonfiction kind of guy.
Oh, 100%.
You can't get involved in fiction.
I really don't watch fiction stuff. I don't like the fiction.
Really?
I will say this on the show's comment or on the show's conversation real quick though. I was very, very, very impressed with Landman season 1.
Okay.
I was almost as equally as disappointed in season 2 of Landman.
Really?
Yeah. So like, I did binge a couple of those shows over the New Year's, over the Christmas break. I still love Landman. Billy Bob Thornton's awesome. I love that guy. Yeah. He's a great actor.
Well, now I don't feel like I need to watch season 2.
You do, just to see if you agree or disagree.
I didn't love season 1.
Oh, I loved
Failure to launch.
Oh, God, I love season 1. Season 1 was just injected in my Pluribus is what it says is one of the most watched Apple TV shows.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem. I don't have Apple TV.
Hey, you can get a free trial.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, you can get a free trial.
Oh, because I only have every other, Roku, Hulu, Peacock. Somebody asked me the other day, can I have your Peacock login? I said, I don't have Peacock. I logged in. I have Peacock. I mean, I guess I just have.
So you're the guy that those commercials that say like, we're this service that looks at how many services you pay for and help. You're the guy that's aimed at.
I think I have every one. No, all kidding. Right now, I have Roku. I have YouTube TV. I have Hulu. Yep. I have Peacock. What else am I missing? I have
HBO.
I think I have HBO because I'm 50-50 on that. I don't know. I probably do. I don't know if I have HBO, but I have like every app on my TV. I can log. It's bad. I can log in, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm paying for. I need to do that for New Year's. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I've got way too many subscriptions.
Yeah,
I need to do a subscription. What do you call it? A purge?
Yeah. The problem is, as soon as you purge a subscription, they're going to come out with a new show on that subscription service that you really, really,
I forgot
really
Netflix
watch.
too.
Yeah.
Of course, I have Netflix. And then, last year in 2024, I bought NFL Live, or not live,
Sunday
but
ticket.
Sunday ticket, so I can watch Red Zone.
But now you get ads.
I get ads. This year, I get to August, September. They didn't even ask me if I wanted to renew. They just charged it again.
Yeah,
so there I was, stuck with it again. So
yeah, because you agreed.
I did.
And some terms and conditions, you said,
I didn't read that. I
me,
did
it's
not
fine.
read those. I did not read
does.
did not read the term. Speaking of NFL, though, Diesel, the NFL playoffs are set. Wild card weekend this weekend. Are you kidding me? Starting on Saturday with a local team in Charlotte. We'll get into it next. Remember the last time you Carolina Panther fans could go into Wild Card Weekend hosting a playoff game at the Crib. That's right, in the CLT, a home playoff game for the Carolina Panthers. And boy, is Charlotte going to show up for that one. We'll get into that. We'll get into what Wild Card Weekend looks like in the NFL. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. But before we do that, let's go to the phone lines, 844-326-3663, where we always put our Tolos first who call the show. And Rick and Greer wants to weigh in. What's up, Rick? Rick.
Okay.
Richard.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yep.
Are they crazy thinking they get $250 a ticket to go see the football game?
I thought
Saturday?
you had
I wanted
PSLs.
to go, but I'm not paying over $25 because they're 10-point underdogs, and they're going to get the crap beat out of them. We know that, okay?
Rick, they beat the team they're playing a month ago.
That wasn't for all the marbles. This is for, I mean, have you ever played marbles?
Once or twice.
That little marble that you can see through, that's the marble everybody wants. That's
How do
the
you, how
marble
do you
everybody-
play marbles, Rick? See how many you can put in your mouth?
No.
Oh.
But
I
I got one more thing to say. Do y'all have anything to do with this 101 point, what is it, one country?
Big Buck Country.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's in our building, Rick.
Yeah, and Diesel and I, in case you didn't know, Diesel and I all of a sudden have become, important decision makers.
Yeah.
Instead of just talking behind a microphone. It's our fault Rob Brown's gone. It's our fault we're now Westwood 1. It's our fault that Rock 101 is now Big Buck Country. Blame us.
Well, let me tell you what. It's a big nothing country. I listen to it. It is the worst station I have ever heard in my life.
Well, don't listen to it, Rick. Turn it on the fan upstate.
Rock 101 back, okay?
Well, it's not happening, Rick.
You can listen to the planet.
If you listen to the station.
Yeah,
I have listened.
Have you listened to 93.3 The Planet, the other station? that I'm
Diesel's
on?
literally on that station.
I finished this show. I walk right down the hall.
Love that station, but this Big Buck Country, oh my God. It is the worst station I've ever heard.
Well, Rick, guess what? They were going to offer you a job because of your, country sounding voice, but I've just been told that they're not offering you that job anymore.
I would rather have a vending job with a monkey out on the street.
You are terrible. Are you not a country music fan, Rick?
I listen to 100.5 and
Sure.
92.5 all the time. Old country is great, but this stuff that they're playing is not country. I don't know what it is.
Well, it is a variety. I've listened to it over the past few days. I like country music.
You mean this stuff they're playing on 101.1 Big Buck Country?
Yeah, it's a variety, Rick, and I have heard some old stuff on there, believe it or not.
Jelly Roll on there? Man, I ain't listening to stinking Jelly Roll. And they
Jelly
have him
Roll.
on there.
Well, I can promise you,
Not
if
as
you
much jelly as there used to be in that
No,
roll.
there's not.
He's lost some weight.
Ozempic's a heck of a drug.
I tell you, if I can't win for losing, the Panthers are going to lose, and I got to listen to that.
You don't have to
Before my-
listen. Nobody's
you don't have
making
to.
you listen to it, Rick.
You're supposed to Tolo with us anyway.
Exactly.
I love y'all station. And
Thank you,
one
Rick.
question, I'll leave you alone, okay?
Oh, God.
What happened to Rob Brown? Did
We-
they just axe him or
It wasn't our decision.
We weren't told anything other than
we don't know, man.
he's no longer with the station, and
Believe it or not, those on the bottom of the totem pole don't get all the information, Rick.
Well, I talked with him on BetQ. What is it, BetQM or BetQ? Where he was at the other night.
Good God.
He wouldn't tell me either. So I can't get a straight. I like Rob. I mean,
we do too. Again, not our decision, Rick. Do you think that we're gonna know this stuff? I mean, we're just low lives here. We're at the, like Diesel said, bottom of the totem pole.
You've got more connections than a dang. I ain't gonna say what else.
So, what is your prediction? Give me a prediction because you've just come on here tonight. You fussed. What's your score prediction Saturday, Panthers? Say it again.
Rams. 35-13 Rams.
35-13.
So you're saying Sam Darnold doesn't have that 2-pick, 1 fumble kind of day. Bryce Young, I mean, he's due for a good game because he's had 2 bad ones in a row.
I don't know that it's going to be that.
I've seen him some elevator shoes, but I bet he don't wear them.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't either. I bet there's no chance. Rick, even though you were negative, very much appreciate the phone call as always, okay?
Thanks,
Rick. Who's more negative, Rick or Dewey?
Oh, that's a good question. Who is more? I would say that's a close. I would actually go Rick is more negative, I think, than Dewey.
Dewey says everybody should be fired.
Yeah, but sometimes Dewey's right.
He says college football sucks. But he says the Braves suck.
Dewey, here's the difference. Dewey will go on a run where he actually is he's hitting on his stuff now. Rick's just all over, Rick's Rick. But every Blue Moon Diesel, Dewey has a good thought.
Even though with Rick's voice, he would be a great voiceover actor to be the voice of 101.1.
Oh, I just had him a job.
I
had him a job, but he's bad-mouthing it, so they're taking the job away.
Sorry, Rick.
I mean,
it was a high-paying job.
They asked me, they said, do you have any listeners that you think would fit this mold perfectly? I said, Rick and Career would be perfect. And I actually wrote his name down on this napkin, and then he called the show and bad-mouthed it, so I threw the napkin away.
Could have got you out of the seedy cockroach racing clubs and
telling you what,
and the male strip club running business.
Could have changed his life forever.
Oh, well.
By the way, it is Joe, I've already forgotten his name, and Greg Olson on the call Saturday night. No, not Buck.
Sorry, I got Big Buck Country
You did.
on the brain.
Who did I? Maybe it's not Joe.
Tessitore?
No, I like Joe Tessitore a lot. It's Joe Davis. Joe Davis and
Joe
Greg
Davis,
Olson on the call Saturday night for Panthers and Seahawks. Again, I mean, y'all just beat this team Let's start there. Before we get into the rest of the matchups, Diesel, let's start with the Carolina Panthers. By the way, the Los Angeles Rams are 10.5-point favorites on the road. It's 12-5 LA, 8-9 Carolina. I know it sounds crazy to say, but you did beat this team just a couple of weeks ago. Does that not give you any confidence at all as a Panthers fan, Diesel?
It should. It should. It shows you what an elite defensive performance can do against a team like LA, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned a couple of
and LA's not playing phenomenal football right now. They've gone 500 in their last 4 games.
I want to look at that box score. You mentioned a couple of weeks or last segment. I think you said that they had a couple of tournaments. It was November the 30th. Mm-hmm. So that was right. Just basically a month ago, really. Matthew Stafford was 18 of 28, 243, 2 tutties, 2 interceptions, though. Carolina sacked him twice. And listen to this. In that game, Matthew Stafford Diesel had a QBR of 25.4. That's horrible. Bryce Young was 15 of 20 for 206, 3 tutties, and no picks. I mean, that is an elite Bryce Young performance. I'm serious. That's a good performance.
For him, it's elite.
Only 5 incompletions.
It proves that if Bryce Young can hit that 200-yard mark, you could beat a lot of teams.
Who'd he throw it to? Jalen had 1, Tet had 1, and Chuba had 1. Out of the Chuba had a receiving touchdown. No rushing touchdowns. So it was a 31-28 score. That game was in Charlotte. Yeah, that was in Charlotte. So they're getting him in Charlotte twice.
Yeah, that old adage, though, it's hard to beat a team twice in the same season. Yeah. I don't know if any kind of weather could help the Carolina. They need a blizzard. They need blizzard conditions. But then again, these Panthers players, they're not going to be used to it either because it's been dang 80 degrees here in the upstate.
I'll tell you this. I watched that game Saturday, and defensively, I think the Panthers are a playoff team defensively. So, that should give you a little bit of hope. Derek Brown, Diesel, that guy could start on any defensive line in the National Football League.
He was throwing some dudes around on Saturday.
I mean, he could start anywhere today. That guy's elite. I love Derek Brown. Love him. Defensively, I think they're good enough. The problem is Los Angeles outgained Carolina 379 to 358 in the first matchup. They had one more drive than Carolina, so obviously they had a few more yards. But situational football matters in these playoff games, right? Complementary football. Running the football is where I go, though. When I look at this game Saturday, Diesel, if Carolina can't run it, I don't give them much of a shot. They did not run it last Saturday against the I'm having a brain fart. Who'd they just play? The Panthers. The Bucks. Sorry. They couldn't run it against the Bucks. If they can't run it against the Rams, I don't like their chances. So 10.5 is a lot of points. I think the Rams win, but I also think Carolina could keep it within 10.
You know, and it's interesting, though. Rico Dowdle came out of the gate like a firecracker, right? He was amazing. And then I don't know if it's teams have started figuring him out. I don't know if he's a little bit banged up, what it might be, but he has not had any of those big-time holy cow performances. I mean, I'm looking back last couple of weeks. He had 59 yards against the Seahawks. He had 29 yards 2 weeks ago against the Buccaneers. He's just not consistent.
No, he's not. I think a lot of it, though, has to do with, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm off on this. Whenever Chuba came back, it almost felt like their offensive identity changed a little bit.
Sure.
Before Chuba was back in the lineup, Diesel, they were pounding the rock. Like they were running it. And Enrico was like a force. You remember, we talked about it.
Yeah.
So they've got to get back to that. They've in the playoffs, man, you've got to run the football. And Bryce Young's not going to outgain Matthew Stafford. We know that. Stafford's a really good quarterback. 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions this year for 4,700 yards. So,
but oddly, it seems like that's what Dave Canales is committed to doing.
Yeah.
Like he is, no matter what, he's trying to win with Bryce.
Yeah, but the problem is I just don't know that Bryce has a complete weaponry around them to be able to win with Bryce, to be fair to him.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? Tet and Jalen Coke or Diesel.
He's got to have a third receiver. And he doesn't.
All right, Chicago. Oh, my gosh. This is going to be – Saturday is going to be a great NFL day. Like I'm telling you, for the third time, Diesel, for the third time this season, Saturday night on Prime Video, Chicago, Green Bay. Third time division game at Soldier Field. The 11-win Chicago Bears under Ben Johnson, who I said it a couple of weeks ago, if he's not coach of the year, it's a crime. Like, come on. Diesel, there's not even a close second. I don't care what Ben Johnson's coach of the year, right? I think this could be fun. Bears, Packers for a third time around. I know this sounds wild to say as much as I love Jordan Love, but I kind of like the Bears. They're favored by 1.5. Home field advantage gives them 3, right? He's kind of like the Bears in this matchup.
Well, the Bears, they've sputtered a little bit lately too. You look at their game against the Lions; they put up 16 points in a loss there. A week prior to that, they put up 38 points in a loss on the road at the 49ers. They haven't really been themselves over the past couple of weeks. But hey, they're still a young football team with a young quarterback who has to figure themselves out. I mean, it would be a far cry for me to say that this team that was so good all season long, that won 11 games this season, is going to end on 3 straight losses.
They lost to Green Bay 28-21 on December the 7th at Green Bay. 2 weeks later, they hosted Green Bay. That was that overtime game, if you remember, on Saturday. Beat them 22-16. So they've split with them. Mm-hmm. Now they get them again.
And they get home field advantage.
And that's huge. Like, let me tell you this. Huge. I know we hadn't seen this in a long time because Chicago hadn't been relevant. You turn that TV on Saturday night, Diesel, I can promise you one thing. Soldier Field will be electric. There are few fan bases that care more about their football team than Chicago. I'm telling you. Chicago will be electric on Saturday night. I like the Bears, man. I know it's early. We'll these kind of early leans, but I like the Bears in this one. Sunday, Diesel, you have the Bills and the Jaguars. Think about this. Trevor Lawrence is 13-4 this year.
Yep.
Elite football he's played. Elite. And what a draw you get in the first round of the postseason. You get Josh Allen. A 12-win team. That's a tough. I know postseason.
That's just not fair.
Everybody's good in the postseason, but come on. Buffalo's favored by 1.5 at Jacksonville. I have no idea. Do you have an early lean on? I really have no clue. I'd say coin flip.
Yeah.
I think Jacksonville's the better team.
I do. Something about, having been there as many times as they have.
Josh has been there.
Tells me that the Bills are going to be a little more poised in the situation. Do I expect to see Trevor fall apart this game? No, but if Trevor throws a pick and then just isn't crisp for the rest of the game, and then again,
tough.
This is Trevor Lawrence's opportunity to finally ascend, right? Even if they don't go on to make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, this would be that moment that proves Trevor Lawrence is an elite NFL quarterback, or at least has the ability to be a really good NFL quarterback, considering the fact that people have been calling him a bust all along.
Yeah.
It seems like, okay, now he's finally got the coach in place that he needs. He's got good players around him. Oh, yeah, I remember when this guy was really good. It felt like it was forever ago. To quote Old Rose in Titanic, it's been 84 years since we've seen Trevor Lawrence finding success. But then also think of what it could be like if Trevor Lawrence really does ascend to that point of confidence. A confident Trevor Lawrence going into next season, that's a scary thing.
No, it's big. I think this is a huge game for, both Buffalo and Jacksonville. By the way, RJ gets in on the Joy Law Firm text line. He says Saturday will not be fun. The Bears are going to torch Nixon and the Packers secondary just like last time. Green Bay needs a new voice as head coach. It needs to invest money in the secondary. RJ, Packers fan RJ calling for a new head coach. Not happy with Matt LaFleur. That's kind of ballsy there, RJ. So Saturday is going to be fun. Bills, Jags to lead things off at 1:00 on Sunday is just going to be sensational. 4:30, you have the Niners and the Eagles, Diesel, followed by Chargers, Patriots. So 3 good games on Sunday. Eagles are favored by 4.5. The Niners looked like doo-doo on Saturday night against the Seahawks. Couldn't score an offensive touchdown. I don't think that's happened often with Kyle Shanahan. Chargers, Patriots, New England favored by 3.5. And then Monday night football playoff. The Texans and Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Houston on the road, a 3.5-point favorite. I'm telling you, I've loved, last thing I'll say before we run to a break, I have loved this NFL season as much as I have any other season. It's been wild and wacky and great games. I don't know if I've ever been as excited, Diesel, for these playoffs as I am this weekend. Look at these games. I mean, these are just really good matchups, and it should be some good football on Saturday and Sunday.
If Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers win a playoff game, does he stick around for another year? Do you run him back with him another year?
I'll tell you this.
Like, does Aaron decide, hey, I think I still have enough for this? Or do you think he kind of uses that as like, all right, that's the final feather in the cap. I feel good about my career. I can go ahead and leave.
If he wins a playoff game, I'll tell you this. He's having fun.
Yeah.
He's having fun, and he likes Mike Tomlin a lot, which who doesn't? Mike Tomlin's a great coach. Rodgers is having fun. If they were to beat this Houston team, which I think has the best defense in the National Football League, Diesel, maybe so. Maybe so, because then you're matched up with, the Chargers or Patriots? I'm just saying, maybe. If he loses, I think he's done. I thought he was done last night before, what's-his-name, missed that field goal. I really did. I thought he was done. And I think he would have been. But I think he could. I think he's having fun. He's had, 3,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 picks. He needs some more weapons on the outside. Injuries have hurt him over the past couple of weeks. But I think he considers it. So we'll see. Should be a really fun NFL weekend, though. Let's just get that Panthers dub. Make it 2 wins this year over the Rams. I mean, come on, man. Wouldn't that be huge?
Well, from talking about the Panthers, let's talk about the Clemson Tigers. From one kitty cat to another, let's talk to Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com about the new OC, who's actually the old OC, transfer portals, all of it. Grayson Mann next. Christmas decorations down yet at the palatial Mann Estates. Do you still have lights in the tree up, or is it already down?
So I was at my parents' place during Christmas, so I didn't decorate at my own home, but I believe the lights went down at my parents' place yesterday. So they're moving on.
You're a Scrooge, Grayson. No lights?
We're just lazy. We're just lazy at my house. We haven't taken the tree down yet. It's starting to turn brown and brittle. We just hadn't done it.
I took mine down like the day after. I'm ready.
Once
it's, yeah.
There was
a frog in my parents' tree. They were texting me, freaking out about it. I was like, "Well, glad I'm not here for it."
It was a real tree, I would assume, right?
That's what they say. Cole.
Wow, that's amazing. No, I'm saying, was the Christmas tree a real tree or a fake tree? You were there.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't ask about the tree. It was decorated when I got there.
You can smell it.
You can touch it.
What do you think I did when I went home? I was like, "Oh, let me go
smelling trees, sniffing trees" is all he was thinking about. Oh, Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. Good stuff. Where do we start, man? A lot to talk about. Let's start with Chad Morris, though. The biggest news, Garrett Riley dismissed last week. We talked about it when it happened. David Hood came on like in real time as it was happening, last Tuesday night, I believe, Grayson. And now just a week later, not even a week later, we find out that Chad Morris, after the rumblings of Chad Morris's name being thrown out there, in fact, this morning was approved by the Board of Trustees as the next offensive coordinator. Thus far, what is the most reaction? What direction has the reaction been that you've seen from Clemson fans? How do they feel about the hire?
Oof. Man, it's like if I touch like a group chat, my entire body turns on fire just because not a lot of people are. I don't think this moves the needle for a lot of Clemson fans. It's an old coordinator that, yes, had success while he was around, but also hasn't been an offensive coordinator for 5 years. And Sweeney had alluded to it in his statement this morning that Morris has sort of made the rounds, per se, around different programs, trying to understand what's kind of the operation these days, what's effective, what's not effective. Maybe it's like the Josh McDaniels redemption tour that he took last year where he was going around studying different spots. So I think Sweeney had a checklist, or at least the fans had a checklist for him. It was move on from Garrett Riley. You did that. But I think the two follow-ups were a portal quarterback that at least excited the fan base a little bit. And then the third was a coordinator that I think was kind of outside the Clemson bubble. And for Morris, it's not the hire I would have made. I think Sweeney wanted to get somebody back in the building that he trusted, that was a little bit more of a commanding presence. So you get that for sure. But I do feel like the fan base, if there was excitement, there's been a lot of air taken out of the tires, per se.
So why Chad Morris?
Yeah.
I mean, is he coming in with, a stack of those composition books full of new plays and innovative ideas? I mean, it feels like Dabo had the opportunity to do what a lot of fans wanted him to do something fresh, do something new. Instead, he goes back to the well, which is, pretty much in line with everything Dabo Sweeney has done over the past 5 to 10 years of his career. Like, why? Did nobody else want the job?
I don't think it's a lack of interest. I think Cade Bell was a serious candidate. It was more, and I go back to a comment that he made in November. I'm not sure we touched on it. Maybe we should have. But he had talked about, it was before the Florida State game, about trusting his instincts more and getting away. He feels like the last several years he's been getting away from that. And he's been quoted as saying, that's a strength of mine. I needed to believe in myself a little bit more, and cited the 2010 season, or at least after that, where ironically enough, Chad Morris was the offensive coordinator hire that he made to try to galvanize what Clemson eventually became. And that offense from 2011 to 2014, I think the obvious caveat is you had Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, and a plethora of playmakers in that system. But he says, yeah, that's one of those moves that I had to really hunker down and anchor down and trust my instincts here. So those comments, I was just kind of doing some research, listening back to old pressers, and I think he was kind of telegraphing it to us from the very start. And we had been told that Chad Morris was in town to help Clemson prepare for Florida State. So I do think that this is something that's been behind the scenes for a long time. And I think Dabo Sweeney needed a few more bullet points and data points on Garrett Riley before eventually making this move. It sounds like from the beginning that once Riley was out, Chad Morris was the guy.
Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. By the way, Tolos, you'll continue to hear Grayson through the winter and spring talking Clemson basketball and Clemson baseball coming up very, very shortly, as we've got a lot of new guests coming up here in the winter and spring as well. But Grayson staying on with us to talk Clemson. Let me ask you this. I know you don't know the answer to this, but if you had to guess, Grayson, at what point during the season or off season do you think Dabo Swinney knew that Chad Morris was going to be his next OC?
It's interesting, right? Because you have him come in for that week to sort of help you prepare.
Yeah.
He's very familiar with the Malzahn offense. And so there's that wrinkle there of, oh, maybe Swinney saw something in that week of preparation that thought maybe this could work if the situation opened itself up. And I truly believe this isn't based off of any information. I think Swinney was thinking about this for a long time, just based on how the season went. A lot of inconsistencies with the offense. I never really feel like the duo really meshed.
Yeah.
Riley, a very passive presence, very go-lucky. And that's not a fault to him. That's just who the Riley brothers are. They're a very relaxed group of people. But I don't feel like it ever meshed between he and Swinney. So when the opportunity presented itself, this is what happened. So it's fascinating, Cole. I don't know the exact epiphany moment where he was like, Chad Morris, let's run that back. But I do believe the seeds were there, and they were planted early in November for this kind of move to be made.
You know, it's funny. There are some Clemson fans who would argue that Dabo trusting his instincts is what got him into the position that they were in this season. I mean, so Dabo says, I had to listen to myself more. Well, listening to yourself, Dabo, is kind of led to a slow slip and slow decline of this program. So it all depends on how you want to look at it. What makes you think that Chad Morris and his personality can recruit the portal studs they need right now, and also some of the high school recruits who still haven't signed yet with National Signing Day in a month?
Yeah, and you had those 15 mid-year enrollees come in, so you have those receivers already on campus moving in. Probably spent their first night in Clemson here. I know that they posted about them yesterday. But I think if we're going to harp on one thing for Chad Morris, and a positive as to what his offense will be for Clemson fans, he will spam the football to his playmakers. So if I'm a Bryant Wesco, I'm a TJ Moore, I'm a Naeem Burrows, who might be Clemson's top recruit coming in for this class. I'm looking at what Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, how they were able to get the football. I think the best thing that Morris will bring to the table and might start enticing some names outside of the Clemson bubble, whether that's recruiting or maybe even the transfer portal, is you're going to see Morris matchup hunt. And I don't think that's something Riley truly ever did, where let's say TJ was playing against Duke, TJ Moore, absolutely dominating on one side. And maybe there's not a really conceded effort to get him on that defensive back. It's like, man, Morris giving him real trouble here. Let's try to really stress that matchup and make the defense fix that. I think Morris is going to be able to do that. He was always moving around personnel groups, wide receivers. You always felt like Sammy, DeAndre Hopkins, and I had watched a few games once this name was floated. They were always in different spots, and you're always seeing them being tested on maybe, okay, we got a weak side linebacker here. Let's put Sammy Watkins on that guy and try to see if we can guard him. So I do think Morris is going to come in and say, we got a pretty good receiving room here. Depending on where they go with quarterback, I think regardless of what that stands, those receivers are going to have a heck of a year next year.
Grayson, what's the absolute latest on two guys you just mentioned with some tweets over the weekend of like this? Is that how you would do? How would you do? Like, okay, the thinking eyes tweet with the hand.
The thinking one. The
thinking
pondering
one.
emoji.
TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco, both pondering emoji. What does that mean?
I think it might just be people messing around. I've reached out to a lot of people that are familiar, and I think the confidence is both of them re-sign. It's a lot of just, I think, Twitter stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't read too much into it, to be honest. Moore did the same thing last year, and things I don't really want to speak for him. But from what I've heard, this is just good old fun on Twitter.
Interesting.
Talking to Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com, all things Clemson. You got questions, 844-326-3663. Text it in now. What do you think finally convinced the Penn State recruit, or the portal guy, defensive back Elliott Washington, to make the move and follow Tom Allen? It was a year without Tom. What made him say, you know what, I now want to go down south with Tom?
Yeah, I think that, and obviously Clemson getting the ball rolling here, had Washington in on Sunday for a visit along with Memphis safety Chris Bracey, who's another strong candidate to come here for Clemson. And I was talking to Cole about this. I had texted him, and I think it was either last night or in the morning. I was like, I think there's going to be a commitment tomorrow. And it turned out to be Washington. I think there's familiarity on both sides. Allen wants speed. Washington's a 4-3 speed guy. He wants length. Washington's got plenty of length and great coverage skills, and he's also a willing tackler. And those are the 3 boxes that Allen wanted checked, and I think it was just a seamless fit where Washington's going to come into a room where there's a strong chance he plays a lot. And he was kind of this back and forth piece where maybe he starts one game, maybe he's more of a reserve corner. I think it's an opportunity for him in his final year to have a real strong chance to play in a weak secondary, as we've all seen throughout 2025 outside of Terrell.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't really name anybody that was super consistent. So this was an opportunity. You're a guy in the portal and you want to play, especially with the familiarity with Allen. This just was one that made sense for both sides.
Let me ask you this. Do you think there's a philosophy, a differentiating philosophy between the offensive side of the football and the defensive side of the football with Tom Allen, who spoke about it back during the fall, knowing what kind of guys he wants, already getting a guy out of the portal? When I say a philosophy difference, you've got Chad Morris and Dabo Swinney on offense who, reports have said that they're not going to get a quarterback in the portal. Do you think there's going to be not like conflict between the offense and defense, but do you think you'll see more of a shift with the defensive side of the football in the portal rather than the offense?
Yeah, I think there will be. And I think it's out of different needs. I think defensively, that's where all your portal exits have gone. You need bodies on that side of the football. And we saw what the product looked like without real caliber talent against Penn State. It's a group that eventually just lost the tread on its tires. So I think if you're Dabo Swinney, you look at it and go, offensively, if we can retain our receivers, and he certainly has not wavered in his belief with Christopher Vizina or the other quarterbacks in the room. He feels like if the offense can just run it back with his unit, you have Christian Bentinker at tight end. You got a lot of promising offensive linemen. They're looking at one out of Georgia Southern right now that was an all-conference tackle. I do think one starting caliber tackle out of the portal would be great for Matt Luke to be able to have. But I think that both would probably acknowledge that, yeah, we need Tom Allen to make things happen in the portal defensively. That's where you've had the most struggles. Yeah. It's where you've given up the most. It's where you've lost the most games is on the defensive side. And so for Allen to be able to come in and get his guys, bring in a portal haul of players, it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. And it's one of those things where it's, okay, Allen now has his group. Let's see how he operates with it.
Talking to Grayson Mann of TigerNet, I want to switch over to the hardwood basketball. Clemson on a little bit of a heater right now. What are they doing? 5-6 games in a row. They're 15 games into the season, off to a solid start. There's been some hiccups there that have not looked good for this program. But, you look around the minutes that these guys are getting and the production that some of these guys are putting out there on the floor. How much faith do you have in Brad Brownell's ability and track record to continue to develop as the season goes along? I'm looking at a guy like Dylan Hunter that you want him to give you 12 to 15 points a night. Right now he's sitting like 8 or 9 points a night. Ace Buckner, you want to get him up to 10 points a night. Sort of take the pressure off the guys that you need to have big games for you to win night in and night out. How has he done in the past at taking those good players and making them better as the season goes along?
Yeah, we've already started to see Ace Buckner take that extra step against Cincinnati and South Carolina, particularly once Foster went down. It was one of those things where it's next man up. And Brownell has expressed his belief in this group's depth. And I think, Diesel, what's unique, and I'd asked him about this because Nick Davidson had rode the bench in the second half earlier in the season. It's like, well, that's Clemson's top dollar guy in the portal. Why is that? So I asked him, and he goes, I think we're going to have nights like this where we have such a deep group where sometimes it's going to be Carter Welling, who has 18, and some nights it may be Dylan Hunter, who has 18. But I think that hand is going to change, and that might be the strength of this group this year where, yeah, Dylan Hunter may not give you 12 to 15 a night. I don't personally think he has to. I think Dylan is more there to be the control, the engineer of this offense, not necessarily the one that's going to be hurling haymakers from the foul line or wherever it might be. So what's been really unique about this group is against Pittsburgh, Butta Johnson has some pretty timely shots that make things happen. Cincinnati, it's Ace Buckner down the stretch and RJ Godfrey. So it's going to be a different guy every night. Does that maybe limit your ceiling? Probably, but I don't think it'll harp them from getting to the NCAA tournament. And the last 2 wins on the road, they're starting to be comfortable in the second half. They're looking better and better, Diesel, as time goes on.
Grayson, Matt Zenitz of CBS reporting 4 minutes ago that Clemson star wide receiver TJ Moore has agreed to a new deal with the Tigers and will be remaining at Clemson. obviously very big news on this Monday. But let me ask you this. With that being said, if Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore are back, does that give Clemson fans in your mind this new, I don't want to say like sigh of hope or a breath of fresh air, but do you think it gives them an inspired confidence that maybe Christopher Vizino with Chad Morris and these two guys back could possibly be good enough to get Clemson back to where they need to be?
It's going to come down to the quarterback, Cole. But I think that's an important step, is getting TJ Moore back in the building. I had been told a few weeks ago that this was a deal that was in progress and was likely to be get to the finish line, and it looks like it finally has. And I think that's a big win for Clemson, is you get that first bit of retention. TJ was a top dollar priority, and he certainly is going to be paid like one.
You say it comes down to the quarterback. I mean, in your mind, I know it's January the 5th, a lot of time between now and the trip to Baton Rouge, but if Christopher Vizino is the guy in August, are you confident if you're a Clemson fan?
I think it's a wait and see. I think really this spring is going to tell us a lot about where this direction is. I think Chad Morris is going to have a big say on it. Still, if it were me, I would go into the portal to get a quarterback to compete, but I think Clemson's going to stay pat with their guys.
Grayson, you posted earlier today that Brad Brownell was concerned about older pros coming back to college, and man, who saw that coming down the pipe? Who had that on their bingo card? But but it's the reality, right? These players are available to you. Are you going to use them or not? Do you think Brad has it in him to be aggressive and go after them, even if he doesn't like it? Or will he take more of that traditional Dabo-esque approach of, this is not the way we want to run things around here, so we're just not going to do it at all?
Yeah, I think he had said once at the beginning of the season that, yeah, there are some things he doesn't like that's being operated in college basketball right now, but Clemson's got to do whatever it takes to win, Diesel. And so I'm not sure. It feels like there's a lot of legal complications right now with who can return, who can't. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not Harvey Specter here. So that is still to be figured out. But I think for Clemson, they're going to make every effort in Brad Brownell's mind to try to win. And if this is one of those routes, I wouldn't be shocked if he tries to knock down a few doors to see what the possibilities are.
Grayson, before we let you go, because we won't talk to you again until next week, early leans, starting with Thursday night between Miami and Ole Miss. Early lean on that game first.
I like Miami in the national championship. I think they have the best line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And you saw it. They absolutely annihilated Ohio State. And people were calling me crazy. I thought Miami was going to control that game and punish the Buckeyes. And I think they're going to do it again. Ole Miss, great story. Trinidad Chambliss is a dude. And I hope he gets an extra year to play just because I enjoy watching him in this system and this setup. But, man, I really do like Miami here. I think they're violent. They're physical. Yeah. They got the formula down to win the national championship. And they remind me a lot of Ohio State last year, who figured it out at the right time. I think they're going to be in the Natty, playing back at home.
Playing who?
They're going to be playing Indiana.
Okay. Indiana. Ooh. I like it. I like it. Mendoza. Congratulations to your Patriots. And I guess next week we'll be talking about the first playoff game for New England, right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take that phone call from the airport because I'm going to Boston next weekend for the game.
No way. Wait a minute. You're going. What day is the game on?
I'm leaving Saturday and the game's on Sunday night.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm jealous.
So excited.
That's awesome.
I tell you guys, when I was looking to buy the tickets, I didn't realize that they were already on sale. So I scrambled. Me and my buddy are going. I was shaking buying those tickets. This is a big deal for me. First playoff game.
Yeah,
Can't
that's
wait.
pretty big, man. Should be a lot of fun. You're the best. Always appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.
Leave your namby-pamby sports takes at the door. Call in if you're man enough.
844 Fan Phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Night Football tonight. However, there technically is Monday Night Football because there is, as you pointed out earlier in the show, Diesel, FCS National Championship tonight. And the two teams are not located in the Dakotas. Newsflash. And I don't know that that's allowed. Like, are teams outside of the Dakotas allowed to play for national championship?
Yeah, it feels like North Dakota State has dominated this for so long that's the only program that anybody knows about anymore in the FCS. It wasn't that long ago, Cole, that the FCS National Championship ran through the Southern Conference. Furman won a couple.
I missed that, man.
Georgia Southern won a couple. App State won a couple. I mean, like the SoCon ran FCS football for a while. James Madison had their run. Obviously, they parlayed that into an FBS conference invitation.
Is the game on TV tonight?
Yeah,
should be, right?
It should be on ESPN.
Okay, good.
I bet.
Good. By the way, it's Illinois State and Montana State. Illinois State's 12-4. Montana State's 13-2. Do you know the mascots of both teams playing tonight?
The Redbirds and the Wildcats.
Bobcats.
Close
enough. They were a cat living the wild. So you're dead on there. So there you go. There's your FCS football flavor tonight, Tolos.
We're gonna be watching, man. This is pure. This is college football in its purest form. You better be watching.
Yeah, I'll be there. You'll be there. We'll all be there. Maybe
Toloing.
not.